Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go crazy!
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Getting ready for Christmas, getting
My
ready
birthday.
for...
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Mara was like the baby Jesus born on Christmas Day
It's a miracle.
in swaddling clothes.
That's what her mother says.
You and my mother tell the story. She's like, I was out shopping and my water broke on the subway.
I thought she was going to say we were looking for a place to stay and no one would let us in. We finally found a barn. When you lose anyone who is a starter or a next-in guy,
You're like every other team.
well,
Yeah.
but
It's
but-
when you lose Joe
can-
Burrow
can-
that you separate.
but can you let me finish?
He had never identified a mic point in his life until he came to New England.
I don't think he knows much about football. But anyway, go ahead.
Right.
You're out of your mind. I really do think you're out of your mind. You think he didn't know how to read a defense?
I don't.
Okay.
This playbook was as sophisticated as
Oh,
anything
yeah.
he had been
For
a
him.
part of.
Yeah.
For anybody.
For him.
Fred, anybody besides
Fred,
Tom
I
Brady.
could give you a laundry list. Torrey Holt said the same thing.
I just think identifying the mic is overrated. don't you think? It's like, isn't it kind of a guess?
No.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
Hey, Mike. I just identified a mic.
I know.
It's overrated. It's overrated.
Why don't we go into a game and never identify the mic and let's see how it goes.
Okay.
What
yeah.
if you just identified something else, like the Paul?
Yeah.
There is no Paul.
Yeah.
Well,
Why is there no
I'm
Paul?
I'm not gonna.
How about
Well, the
I'm
problem
going to
is when
identify
you-
the Sam.
The problem is when you point to Will and
there is a
you
Will.
say it's the mic.
Right.
Oh.
Now you have a
Or
problem.
Sam.
No, that's not how.
I'm
it
going
works.
to identify the robber.
Oh, yeah.
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 Or the star.
You should, because you might, try to throw it up the seam
all
and
of
get
this
picked.
is just.
X's and O's day here. On
It's
Patriots.
football 101 with Fred Kerr.
No, this is the last thing.
It's a preview of Bellustrator. That's what we're going to do.
I'm just the mic is not actually the Mike linebacker. We're all aware
Correct.
of that, right?
Yes.
I thought it was
Just
just a
making
guy
sure.
named Mike on the defense.
Right.
No,
No?
no.
Michael Menu?
It's a misconception that when he says 54 is the Mike, that means that he's the Mike linebacker in the defense. It's not.
So why do they call it the mic?
It's just a
The
terminology.
Middle. It's the middle
So
of
it could
the
be anything.
protection.
Yeah, and the Patriots
Best name.
they have
How about-
slides
But
too.
teams playing
Here's the
against-
guy that we're going to key our blocking scheme on.
No, it's not keying. This is none of this is right. Guys are
Otherwise, you
killing me.
could just point to like
Well,
Joanne Bentley every play and
Right.
say,
Yeah.
"Eight's the mic."
Well,
Yeah.
you'd think
because
like,
he's the middle linebacker
Yeah.
in the Patriots defense.
it's like the millennials, like, this guy's mid right here.
Yeah, he's mid.
Right?
Yeah.
I talk the language.
No.
I'm hip.
you
kids
are
using
you are
mid?
very hip.
All right. Welcome
what
to
that
Patriots
was.
Unfiltered.
It's my doctor.
It is Wednesday here at Gillette Stadium. I feel my mic is hot.
Hot mic.
hot
Hot mic. Hot
Like
mic.
I got it turned down, but I'm
Sibilance.
still.
Well, you are
Yeah.
coming out of the show spitting fire. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
Could be.
You identified me.
You
so-
identified Deuce.
Denver,
You
just
got under Evan's skin.
another day closer. We're thinking maybe snow in Denver for Sunday.
I mean, I hope so for you guys. That'll be beautiful.
Yeah, I had a member of the
Hey,
football
but
staff
I want to be able to get home.
tell me that they thought there was a chance for like snow showers
Yeah.
during the game.
Remember Buffalo when they would have snow showers was like a blizzard.
Yeah, snow showers in Buffalo meant you weren't getting home the next day.
Right.
That's what I'm worried about.
I can imagine
too.
Denver's
Yeah.
pretty bad, though, too, right? With the showers and stuff.
Well, like I know the day before the game is going to be like in the 60s.
That's
That's what happens in Denver.
It is
That's not sexy.
It's
Wild.
not sexy at all. I had a friend who lived in Colorado, and it was always amazing to me how she talked about the climate there, because you think it's cold, but it really swings very warm, very cold. Like,
Yeah.
it's not what you would think being up there in the Rockies.
Right.
Yeah, my sister lived there for a couple months, and she said it was kind of like New England.
Yeah, does she brag about how warm it actually is? That's what I got a lot of from my friend. She was always saying how great it is there, but whatever.
A lot of bitterness.
Whatever.
Deuce, from my friend.
Stupid Colorado.
Yeah,
No.
I think if there's any inland place I had to live, it would be like Denver would be one of them.
Oh, it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple times.
I've never been, so I'm never been to Mile High.
Are you gonna
never
check
been to
one off?
Denver.
You're gonna check one off?
I am. I'm excited about that.
Ooh.
That's about it.
Denver's
that I'm
okay.
excited
Denver's
about.
cool.
I like Denver.
Been to
there
the
a
If
few
it had to be
times.
inland, I'd think I'd live in Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Nashville.
Get your country music
the
career
taxes,
The tax.
Taxes.
and it's a beautiful.
You have a lot of wealth that you have to worry about.
Not yet, but
Well,
I will soon.
she's thinking ahead about the
Cayman
picks,
Islands.
I will
And,
see.
the picks contest that she's going to win. She's trying to figure out
Right,
how,
what's she going to do with all that
how am I
prize
going to
money?
hide this money.
Yeah.
That is the most Alex answer I've ever heard.
The taxes.
Taxes.
Not like, oh, it's beautiful there.
No.
The taxes. Wait, like, you don't have to
I
be
think it's a
practical
cool-
all the time. Like, you can just
I-
think about it as
I'm
like,
not that practical, am I?
yes.
I like my money in
Okay. Who
my
doesn't?
bank account.
Counting it.
All right.
Stacking it.
I just think Tennessee is a beautiful city. I think it's really underrated.
Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah.
We had
I don't
fun.
know
Well,
about the rest of Tennessee.
No, she
The
said Tennessee.
outskirts of
Well, she said
the outskirts
Tennessee's
of
not
Nashville.
a city, though.
Oh, I thought you said a beautiful
The
state. I'm
outskirts of
sorry.
Nashville, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a pretty state. I don't know.
You like the country
We're
music?
talking inland. I wouldn't want to live anywhere inland.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would-
Right.
with you
I
on
need
that.
to be near an
Oh,
ocean.
Right. But if
Yeah.
I had to,
Coastline.
Yeah, for
then
sure.
Denver would be a place.
Yeah, it's a place.
This is a start of a 3-11 show, is what this is.
Okay. So,
David
um,
Andrews.
you just saw Zappe?
I did see him, yeah.
Yeah.
He was there.
And what did he have to say?
Well, I think a lot of people right now, fans, us, everybody is just wondering, what are you playing for? What's sort of your motivation at this point of the season with the record being what it is? And he just mentioned that he would like to put together 4 quarters of good football. And I think that that's what we're all looking to see if, can you do it? He's played 2 good halves, really. I mean, I don't know about the Chiefs half. It was good. It wasn't as good as Pittsburgh, but it was good. And he's been a good quarterback in both those halves. And in the second half, he's a completely different person. It's completely.
One of the players should say, well, what's your motivation for covering us? I say, well, it's our job. I say, it's my job too.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, he just said, they're playing for themselves at this point, which
Yeah.
I get. But I think that in some areas of the team, some people are playing for themselves a little bit too much, if you catch my drift. But
What did he say?
Freelancing?
I caught that drift.
He said
playing
what?
for ourselves, like playing for
Their pride.
pride. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what he was insinuating. But
Oh.
when he said that, I thought of a few people that I thought might be playing for themselves.
Oh.
Oh, do you care to elaborate at all?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Then they'll apologize tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Right to call him out.
Yeah, Fred, I get your, your job. That's why we're all doing this too. But don't you feel like we're doing it differently than we normally would at this time of year? Like we're talking about different
Well,
sort
we
of
adapt.
elements. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair question from the media to wonder, obviously the players have a job to do. They're going to go out and play as hard as they can. But you just wonder, is the motivation different, for Kyle Duggar today at 3-11 than it would be at 11-3?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's
It's
fair.
interesting
Just
that
like
you brought up Kyle Duggar.
oh.
Such as, therefore,
Oh,
heretofore.
I would do.
I do. I mean, but
What
I
do we
think
got there? That
I
was
think,
ominous.
At least for us, though, too, we kind of have this like growing energy about the off season. That it's exciting. It's also a little bit daunting when you feel like usually you get to the end of the season and you're like, all right, I have a chance to catch my breath, and now it feels like it's all okay. This is actually the off season now because the off season is going to be the season this spring. It's going to be crazy. All those things that we're looking forward to. But I think that's the little bit of the energy that's carrying me through these last few weeks of just. And I think anytime you get to see a guy like Kevin Harris get out there in the field and run, have a big run tough. Those
obviously,
things are
I've
rewarding.
never had the experience of being a professional athlete, but I would think that in a situation like this, while you're not playing to get to the playoffs or anything like that, I'd look at it as an opportunity to say, all right, how can I just be the best player I can possibly be? And you sort of don't have that pressure of, we have to win the game. Now I just have to focus on I have to do the best I can do because everyone's watching me,
Yeah,
So,
and
I mean, I could find motivation, in other words.
and it's still like you're playing a game in front of
like,
tens of thousands
right.
of people.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
energy.
and this one's
I mean,
in prime time too.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's got to
a lot of
be
people will be
a little bit
watching.
easy
I'm
to
not so sure.
to block out.
I'm serious. Like Christmas Eve. Did you
know.
watch any of the Christmas Eve game last year? Like I didn't.
No,
Who was playing?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was drinking eggnog and whiskey or something.
Yeah.
Not this week.
Like, I just look at some of this stuff.
It's a holiday ass kick. I mean, classic.
One of the best games of the year is going to be in prime time on Christmas night. That bums me out. Like Baltimore, San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's a good matchup.
Might be the Super Bowl.
And I don't know, to put it on
Christmas
prime time,
night.
Christmas
By
night.
that time, the kids have opened all the packages. Now you can settle down. And
I
watch
just don't really have much interest in watching sports on
At all.
Christmas.
Yeah.
No.
Celtics Lakers is at 5, so
Yeah,
I'll definitely.
I mean, I'm
Christmas
sure,
Day?
I'm sure it'll be
that's
on in the background, but I won't watch it like I would a normal game.
Oh,
No, like just taking notes mentally.
No, I'm with my
clocking
family.
it all.
I'm with my family. I'm enjoying family time. I'm not really into a game.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve night. I mean, Christmas Eve especially, because that's like happening at night. Christmas Day, Fred's right. Everything's kind of done by 8 o'clock.
down
Maybe
by
you
then.
could watch San Francisco and Baltimore, but
I got a question.
I wouldn't watch a Christmas Eve
If you-
primetime game.
Little off the beaten path. We used to be in the spot though. If you're those two teams, San Francisco, Baltimore, you're coming into this game. Are you putting everything into it? Are you thinking any bit of potential Super Bowl matchups? Are you feeling like we need to win this
it's a good
game?
question.
What will be kind of? I mean, I know the Patriots have had games like. I mean, I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head, but I don't want to say a potential Super Bowl preview, but they've had some games
both
like
teams
that.
do
big
need it
games.
to get the number 1 seed, though.
Yeah,
I think they'll hide some things
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean,
Or set some things up even. I mean, is that
I just, especially like for those two teams, because their offenses are so unique for different reasons that if you're the Ravens, like, are you really going to run Lamar Jackson a bunch in this game? No, but if you're in the Super Bowl, you're going to run
Right.
Lamar Jackson 20 times.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely think that game will not be anything like if there is a Super Bowl between those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the Patriots
It's
Colts
a
games.
good question.
Patriots Colts games. Not that they were all this late in the season, but just how they were kind of different. I mean, at least 03 was what that was. A little bit more low scoring, whereas the first one was really back and forth and in the 30s.
But that was all about the venue.
Yeah, that's
Like if they played in the
Yeah.
playoffs in Indy, it would have been another shootout.
yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
Now the Patriots might have won again. The Patriots could beat you anyway back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Low scoring, high scoring, whatever you wanted.
It's just now it feels like you get down to the NFL schedule and it's like these key games pop up and you're like, ooh. Two teams that could meet in the Super Bowl, could meet in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
You start to get those little nuggets at the end of the season, or it's like crappy division games where one team has nothing to play for and the other team is just getting ready for the
I like
playoffs.
Evan's point about the unique nature of the two offenses, though, because that's true. Like I think you can go all out to win and not necessarily call every play that you would in a desperate situation.
Or maybe
It's not necessarily holding something back. It's just kind of doing what's best for the team in the moment. And to Evan's point, is running Lamar Jackson 15, 20 times best for you in Week 16? Probably not.
I just wonder how much of a potential next matchup is on their mind, just in terms
Yeah.
of, hey, how are they going to react when we throw this at them? Those kind of just little
Yeah.
tests that you're kind of
Yeah.
getting
Maybe a
ready
little,
for
but
if you were
I
to.
think that
Trial balloons.
Yeah,
I like it.
Love it.
yeah,
No.
they also there's a road that you have to go through to get there, and I
Yeah,
think
no, I know.
you
That's. I mean, and I don't think they'd ever share that with the players. That would probably just be, hey, let's throw this package at them just to see how they kind of what they line up
like-
against it in.
It's like
and-
Kyle Shanahan
Well,
sitting
that's
at home.
I mean that's an
I got this.
interesting way of looking.
I'm
at
gonna
it.
hide
You're
it.
trying
Yeah,
to
they're
get
like soft
insight, trying to
launching.
get intelligence on the other team.
That definitely sounds like
what do
something
they do?
Kyle would do.
What do they do when we do this?
Yeah, well, I know that
Yeah.
that's always, and that's a kind of a Bill thing of, as the game is establishing itself, and all right, we're going to throw a bunch of personnel groups at them and see, how they play us. What do they, how do they treat our tight ends and that kind of stuff. So I don't know, just some experimenting. I don't think it's anything that should reach the psyche of the team, but for the coaching staff, maybe like, hey, let's try to get a little bit of intel out of this in case we need it down the road.
See, that's real X's and O's talk there.
Let's go.
Proud of you.
That's all right.
I thought it was a good question. I hadn't really even
Just
looked
came-
at it
I mean, it just
that
came.
way.
Well, Fred identified me as the mic, and I feel
Yeah,
like I'm having a strong
and
show.
you came through.
Yeah.
Are we
came
gonna
through.
Rita or Linda it now?
Probably not, but
No.
we're hoping to run leak on that, so that'll be great.
I like stick.
I can talk to leak.
Every high school team in the country likes stick.
I make fun of Brady for that. It's like the old clip when he's talking to Drew, and
You just
Drew's
wanna
got the
throw it again
headsets
on
on. He's like,
TV.
what do you want to run? What do you like? I like stick.
It's literally
Which is not surprising, right? Like
ran
like
stick
a
at
young
8th
quarterback.
grade.
Yeah, right.
White 80.
White 80. Green
I also
19.
should mention that David Andrews
Yeah.
won the Good Guy Award
Yep.
this
Oh, that was
year.
today?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I was not asked to vote.
Explain what that is, please.
So it's the Media Good Guy Award, which is basically who represents and fulfills their media obligations the best, represents the team, and works with the media the best throughout all the players, and past winners. We've had Jacoby Myers, obviously Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater, those types of guys. Cam Newton actually won it the year he was here.
Judon win it last year?
Judon won it last year. Yep. And
David Andrews is
Judon was
Jacoby.
a couple years ago. Jacoby
Yep,
last
Jacoby.
year.
Okay, it was a couple of years ago for Judon.
Judon was 2 years ago. Jacoby was last year. Yeah, Jacoby won it for how he handled the Vegas lateral.
Yeah, it was like the
that.
next
It
week.
was literally over at that. The voting was over at that.
That's
point.
a good pick, though. David Andrews is a good selection.
Yeah. I thought that it was. I voted for David Andrews, and I just feel like he coming out after all these losses, unfortunately, and being the first one to address the fans, the media, post game, I think is a real stand up guy. Like, he comes on that podium, basically still in uniform. Like, he's got obviously his shoulder pads are off, but his game pants are still on half the time, and he's just comes up there and answers questions about why, same questions. Why did you guys lose again? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And has been a real stand up guy. I think it shows a lot that he's the first one every single week and not a head coach.
Other
of the
than
team.
Andrews, are there any other offensive linemen that ever go to the podium?
Like in terms of
Either post game or
with
during
the
the week?
Patriots?
Yeah, for the Patriots.
No, not really.
No.
No.
He also just wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And, of all the players that, like, maybe, does this matter to them? Like, it clearly matters to him. After every one of his losses, you can just see it in his face, his body language, everything. He's still taking these tough.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that this is probably not that important to fans, but there's been some really, really difficult losses for the team this year, and some losses that are, frankly, were not great optics-wise, and him beating Bill to the podium every single time always sticks with me. It's like, we're in Germany, and Mac throws a game-losing interception. Zappe throws a game-losing interception. And it's not the head coach that goes to the podium first amidst a 5-game losing streak. It's the center and, a player. And I think that shows a lot on David Andrews'
So what
part.
does he get by winning that award?
An attaboy.
No. He
Jelly
actually,
of the Month Club.
it's actually a
It's on the
really,
plaque.
really nice piece of crystal. And it lights
have his
up
face
and
Oh.
it has his
engraved
face
in
on
it?
it and says,
Wow. I
yeah,
didn't
it's actually a
realize.
really nice piece of hardware he's got. And then there's in the media workroom, there's like a list of all of them on a plaque. And so his name obviously will go on the plaque.
Yeah,
The
is
Ron-
it still
the Ron Hobson.
Ron Hobson
Yeah.
Good Guy Award?
It is.
Hey, guy.
Hey, fella.
Was that how he talked?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, fella.
Was he a good guy?
Oh, yeah. Hobson was
Awesome.
good guy.
Dick. No, I don't
He's,
think
he's still on the Hall of Fame.
I would love
Yeah,
the irony
yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline, web radio at Patriots.com. Some other news. Aaron Rodgers said it's doubtful
Dang
he'll
it.
play. And today's the deadline
I
anyway.
know. I'm
So he's
bummed.
being activated for some reason. But
Oh,
he's
he is?
yeah,
Money?
it just came out that he's being activated, but maybe money. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Usually-
But he's
usually
not
it's-
playing. He's definitely not playing.
That stinks.
Well-
I kind of wanted that.
So,
Did?
I wanted him to play against the Patriots here to little
yeah,
juice.
so he's not playing at all.
Correct.
Because I know he has to be activated today in order to be eligible to play, but I don't really understand why you would activate him
Right, I don't either.
if he's not going to play.
Yeah.
My guess is that he's trying to leave the door open.
I don't know. Yesterday
so.
he said it.
He's not ready now.
Yeah.
So
Maybe he just
I
wants
guess
to be
so. According to
practicing,
Schefter, this just came out like 25 minutes ago from both guys. He's being activated, and he wants to be activated so he can continue practicing with the team.
Oh.
But he's
Oh.
not. But he's not playing.
Okay.
team guy.
All right. Well,
team
I found
guy.
it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers criticisms making their way around the Twitter machine today and yesterday. And listen, I'm no big Aaron Rodgers guy. I've been Fred. I think I was well ahead of the curve on
Achilles.
reading between the lines of his nonsense. I caught on to his act, I think, before most did. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of criticism for like destructing the Jets' season. Like, and I don't really understand that.
I
Like,
see that.
he's an attention grabber. Like,
If anything, he gave them hope.
No, but he kept himself in the news all year, like only Aaron Rodgers can. I think all the criticism of that is 100% accurate. Like, he knew that he probably wasn't going to be able to play. He likes to poke fun at modern medicine. Like, I know more than you.
Yeah.
You know, I can do this, I can do that, as if it's not like a set amount of time that it, minimal to recover from something like this. I can do it because I'm taking some,
Stem cells.
Yeah.
right, some nonsense that whatever isn't going to help me come back. So all that criticism I get, but I just don't understand how he sabotaged the Jets season by doing this. The Jets had all the ability in the world to go out and sign a backup quarterback and chose not to. They could have made a trade for Case Keenum, who won a game for Houston yesterday in a playoff race, or Sunday. Like, they could have made a move for Joe Flacco, who was available to anybody, who's won a couple of games for
Wasn't he on
Cleveland.
their
He
team
was
last
just
year?
with them, right?
So
yeah.
this had nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers, unless there's something I don't know about. And Aaron Rodgers behind the scenes was saying, no, you do not do that. Like, I don't understand why that's Aaron Rodgers' fault. The rest of it is all Aaron Rodgers' fault. Like, the fact that he's on Pat McAfee every week, he's one of the top 3 storylines in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
And he didn't play. He played 4 plays. Like, that's on Aaron Rodgers.
Refresh my memory. How did he end up with the Jets? Did they have to trade for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the move for the Patriots? Is that what Bill should have done? Like, I kind of feel like in hindsight that would have been it.
This guy, like,
It's like me on
deep
Tuesdays
dive.
is dark, and
Yeah.
then
Deep
Deuce
dive
is
Deuce
Wednesday.
today.
On.
We had that
I mean,
conversation though. I was down.
Yeah, well, I mean, just connecting it all and bringing it back. If Bill really didn't like Mac, and clearly they didn't like Zappe either because they cut him, if he didn't believe in him, I mean, and you're Bill and you're 71, and you've always kind of said I like Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, this is
Well, I think
a
it
quarterback
came
who
out
could maybe
that
handle it.
The Patriots were a hard no for Aaron.
I think it came
he
out
didn't
the
wanna
opposite.
Come here.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I thought it was the opposite.
No,
wasn't it?
no.
I
I
thought
thought he
Aaron
didn't
didn't
want. I
wanna
thought
come
he didn't
here.
want to come here.
But that
That's what I'm saying.
He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
the
Oh,
Jets.
you said the Patriots were a hard no.
No.
Yeah, they were hard.
For him.
They were hard no for
No,
him.
he didn't want to come
Oh,
here.
okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was
you
that
meant the
Carter-
I
Patriots
might
were a
have
hard
worded it weirdly.
because there was a report out of New York that I think was sort of
Craig Carton.
Yeah, and it was sort of I don't know if it was debunked, but it was definitely blown off.
Yeah.
That the Patriots inquired and Rodgers said no.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe the Patriots ever inquired.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have gone the Aaron Rodgers route now if like Lamar Jackson was technically available and it comes out after the fact that they didn't want to move on that. That's a little different story.
Well,
But
besides the money, how much of the future did the Jets have to give up? How many assets?
It was a second-round pick, right?
right,
That's
I
it?
want to say it's
Something
a
like that?
second.
Yeah.
It could have been a first, but obviously he didn't meet the playtime
just-
requirement.
I just had doubts that he's just such a quack. Like I didn't know if it would work out even if he was healthy, like just because of where his head is at now. And this whole thing with the coming back from the Achilles was all just to prove that he knows better than everybody else and he's smarter
he's
and all
tiring.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if that would
But he
have
can
worked.
sling it.
I agree with all that
Absolutely.
stuff. But I mean, if you're realistic, Bill really wants to break the record.
Right.
That feels like that was the move.
That was the perfect move for him. I'm going to coach 2 more years. I'm going to get the wins I need with him.
Yeah.
And then I can walk
Yeah.
away.
I
Deal
have
with his
no doubt
craziness
that
for a
that
couple.
had a potential to like be electric here with the two of those guys together.
But does
But-
that still muddy the water when it comes to Bill Belichick? Oh, he had to bring in Aaron Rodgers to do it.
It would have
you know?
for some.
But maybe,
Probably me.
but I mean, if getting the record is what matters, then who really cares? I mean, I just of everything you could say there's so many moves that have led us to the 3-win season. But if there was one move that you could maybe go back in time and change, I mean, that might have altered things. I don't know how much. I mean, I still think they have flaws, and I still don't know if they have the true kind of weapon that you need to kind of compete in the we see the best teams they have that right now, but I mean he's the best option, and I mean Bill always has kind of a liking to players like him who are really good and a Hall of Famers.
I don't know if
that.
the Patriots would have been interested. My guess is no. I don't know that, but I definitely don't think Rodgers would. I do believe that part of it because if you just look at all the things the Jets did to cater to him, I just don't see those things would have happened here.
Yeah, and I think it is a fair point though as we move forward of we're also focused on quarterbacks in the draft and going that route, and the free agency classes, it's all a bunch of question marks. Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles and stuff like that.
His wife is holding out hope that he can play in the Super Bowl if Minnesota makes it.
And like Baker Mayfield and like players like that, but it does make you wonder about if Russell Wilson trade and Aaron Rodgers trade, like if one of these veteran quarterbacks, I like Kyler. I don't. Some people don't.
I would take.
Absolutely
take
that
Kyler
path is intriguing if you're not giving up a ton of draft capital and you're solving the quarterback position that way, and then the first round pick goes to a left tackle or it goes to Marvin Harrison Jr. or whatever. But obviously that assumes that you're not trading the second overall pick for the quarterback, which I think should be off the table.
Totally.
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Anything else before we turn it over to the listeners? No,
I think we should go to Tennessee first, Freddie.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yes.
Robert's in Tennessee. What's up, Robert? Is it as good as Alex says? How are the taxes?
It's lovely here. Absolutely lovely. You're really missing out.
Well, we've been there.
Hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of the show. So what's going to happen in the next few minutes is not going to be great.
Uh-oh.
But just know, I listen to y'all every single episode. I've been doing this forever. I'm an idiot down here walking through the hallways as a teacher with your stuff on, basically.
Thank you.
I am a huge Patriots fan. I know the practice squad. I know every penny they spend. I know everything about them. So with that being said, the balls on you to actually gun for Bill Belichick is just outrageous to me. I understand where you're kind of coming from, but it has zero loyalty to it whatsoever. You have covered more Super Bowls because of him. I know there's other factors. Don't tell me about Brady. But he's a huge factor in it. You're traveling around on the best planes. You're now one of the best organizations in the world. And you just want to throw Bill Belichick out. I get it. Oh, he hadn't done a great job in the draft. He's not like San Francisco. If we did with Trey Lance at San Francisco, y'all would be just destroying him. But he messed up on N'Keal Harry, basically a second-round pick, and now he's the biggest idiot in the world. I understand that it is payback time in a lot of ways. Like, hey, he's kind of mean to us. He doesn't give us any information. He's not nice. He probably hates y'all. You stab him in the back constantly. Why would he give you any information? He's not going to give you the game plan every single week. You basically want that. Like, how come he doesn't talk to us more? How come he doesn't run out to the podium?
Who says that?
The quarterback had a bad day.
Who says that?
How come he doesn't come out instantly? I tell you.
People on this show say that.
Listen to this podcast, just furious. My wife walks by. She says, "Hey, what are they doing? What are they talking about Bill Belichick?" I said, "Because they're so much smarter than Bill. They're like geniuses. They brought some podcast. But in fact, here's another thing. You have like 5 people on this podcast or on this video. How many other teams have that? You have that because it's been a success. But as soon as he starts to struggle, this hasn't been just this year. It's been 4 years in the making. Okay. So what? Give him a few more years. Let's say, look, if he screws this next year up.
Oh, then next year will be.
Then you'll be willing to stab him in the back. Okay, I got it. When you decide it's time to stab him in the back, then it's okay. Got you.
I'm loyal.
Oh,
look.
Until next year.
Until next year.
Look.
Until next year, you'll be loyal until next year. Then you'll throw him out with the trash.
Loyalty, Paul, because pretty much here's your phrase. Hey, your opinion is valid. It's wrong, but it's valid. Or you.
That's not my phrase. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I've never told you you're wrong. I didn't say anything you just said was wrong, with the exception of our podcast that started before Bill Belichick was here. And you're giving him credit for a podcast that Fred started, so that's wrong. Everything else is opinion.
It doesn't matter.
We had 4 people on the podcast at the time: Fred Kirsch, Brian Morey, Paul Perillo, and Shane Donaldson.
No, listen, Robert.
Before Bill Belichick was here.
Listen, Robert, I understand everything you're saying, but a lot of the stuff that you're saying has nothing to do with Bill Belichick.
Right.
Trust me.
I don't care that he doesn't talk to the media. I don't care that he's mean to people. I don't care about anything but winning games.
You're not going to give him any of the success for this.
I give him plenty of success. I think he's the best coach I've ever seen.
Arguing with
you're arguing with yourself.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he's the best coach I've ever seen.
Why get rid of him?
Because he hasn't won in 4 years.
Because it's time.
It's time. He's 72.
Hey, he went to the playoffs one of those years.
Yeah, and he didn't win.
Got smoked.
They lost by
you gotta
30
win it
points.
all. Oh, I forgot. You got to win. So let's fire every coach.
No, you have to win something.
Robert, we have a vested interest in the team.
There's something like 12 games under 500
no.
since in that 4-game span, that 4-year span.
Robert, we have a vested interest in the team. Our lives are much better when the team wins.
Absolutely.
If it was best to keep him because it's just a matter of a year and we'll get right back, why would we want to get rid of him?
You don't think he could do it?
I don't. I think it goes way beyond, just his coaching at this point. It's relating to the younger players. It's the draft, yes, but it's a lot of other things. And I just think it's run its course. I think all good things must come to an end. And even you said if it didn't happen next year, you'd be ready to move on. So everybody's got their limit. Everybody's got their time.
Yeah.
Yours is just 1 year later than mine.
And you're not alone, Robert. There are a lot of people that call us that say stuff very similar to what you just said. I do not tell them they're wrong. To the contrary, I think everybody has their own opinion.
Anyone who says we should keep Bill Belichick, I respect that.
Absolutely.
I respect that.
It's like a small percentage of it. It's just like 8 guys.
No,
yeah, it is.
I think it's bigger than you think.
Yeah, it's probably like maybe 70-30.
I think you're just
something like that.
You're just hearing for the people that have been waiting
because
to
the
jump on
negativity is louder.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
But I think there's plenty of people that want to keep him. Plenty.
It does. It ruins my day every time they lose, and I just.
You've had a lot of bad days in 4 years.
It's been bad. But look.
37 of them.
Dude. I have some loyalty to it. I'm just very grateful for where we've been. I wasn't really itching to get rid of Tom Brady. Maybe I'm just too loyal.
Yeah. Hey, listen, nobody likes Tom Brady more than I do, but even
and that's
then,
an admirable trait, by the way.
I realized that he wanted to go. They weren't bought in with him long term, and it was best for both parties to move on. Now, ultimately, sure. It's proven that he could have had a few more years here at a high level, but were they going to do what was needed to be done to make those fruitful years? I don't think so.
And Robert, nothing wrong with being too loyal either. I mean, that's an admirable trait. And I'm not being patronizing at all. I disagree with you, but there's nothing wrong with being too loyal.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Paul. Listen,
no, seriously.
If anybody, look, as I said, I listen to y'all constantly. So, this is I want to be in the round table arguing with these things, but I'm at the house just listening to a podcast, and I would fight for y'all. If someone said, fire Fred, he's too old, he makes mistakes, he doesn't read emails correctly.
Believe me, that's coming. That's coming.
Fred and I are waiting for that day.
Oh, God.
Why would
We're
you
all in
fire
trouble.
Fred? He started the first ever podcast.
But so what? If I'm losing my fastball, I'm losing my fastball. Or if I ever had
I don't think
one.
you'll know it when it comes. I
Yeah,
think
you're
it's just
still
one of those
painting the
things.
corners, though, Fred. Yeah. You can get by. Frank Tanana.
That was the nicest thing.
Robert, thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
That was really nice.
That's
Paul.
a good call.
It's a good call.
I love me some Fred.
Yeah.
You know
We got
call from the great state of Tennessee.
Yeah, we got a similar call on I think it was a pregame show with someone who's just very firmly and we just let it ride it with Bill and that's what it is.
Brian Morey, who used to be on this show.
He was the original member of the podcast.
He can't.
What podcast?
He can't fathom the fact that we're that
PFW in progress at the time.
We don't have
Yeah,
a decision.
I was
to
a
make,
listener.
But he can't fathom that anyone is considering moving on from Bill Belichick.
I mean, I said it last week that I worry that we look back and regret this, where everyone is writing him out of town and the really loud, whether it's a minority or a majority that wants him gone, they're the loudest.
Always a possibility.
Yeah.
But really, doesn't that say it's less moving on from him than what are you going to do next? It really also tells you that whatever your move was after that didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Both can happen.
And
he can move on and have success, and the Patriots could have success.
And like you said with Brady, where it was kind of a mutually, maybe it was more beneficial for Tom, but it was kind of mutually just like what you do, that could be the case here.
I mean, that's what I was hoping for Brady, is that he would do well and the Patriots would do well. It just didn't work out that way. But listen, I get what Robert's saying.
I just, the only parts that because I can't let things go, me. One, no one on this panel has ever complained about Bill's answers at press conferences. Not once.
I make fun of them. No.
So,
but there's a difference between making fun of it and saying he needs to get fired because of it.
some people, like he said on the call, that this is comeuppance for Bill because of how he's treated the media. And now we see blood in the water, and now we're circling. And I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for myself and, what I hear from you guys. And no one on this show ever sits here and says that, is doing this out of spite because of how he handled himself with the media. And I'd also just say, loyalty is great, but there's also such thing as blind loyalty. And, it's our job to look at it objectively and not just be blindly loyal to somebody.
And the other thing that he said that, this we wouldn't have this podcast. We wouldn't have so many people. If it was up to Bill, we wouldn't have this podcast.
We wouldn't exist. That's what I'm saying. To the contrary.
I give the Crafts credit for this. I mean, they're the ones that write the checks and give the green light to the ideas that we have over the years. Bill, we're an unnecessary evil in his eyes.
A big part of this,
I get it.
A big part of this to me is just, and it's very similar to Brady. There's a finite amount of time left. You cannot do these things forever. Tom Brady defied logic and defied time for a lot of years, but at some point it was going to end even for him. And at 45, they let him go when he was 42? Yeah, he won another Super Bowl, and there was a period of time there where that was probably looked at as embarrassing for the Patriots. I never looked at it that way. I kind of looked at it like Fred did. We let him go. He didn't want to be here. We probably didn't want him here anymore, but I didn't wish any ill will on him. I wanted him to succeed. He did whatever. I knew he wasn't going to be quarterbacking for much longer, just like I know that no matter what happens with Bill, he ain't coaching for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of and that's kind of why, especially if the Patriots bring on a new top quarterback, in the draft, I kind of want the coach to be guaranteed. Obviously there's no guarantees in life, but hopefully the coach will be here a long time with that quarterback, and you have that continuity, which I think was such a big part of the dynasty. Having that continuity,
if you draft Caleb Williams and Bill Belichick's his coach, let's just say for argument's sake he's a great coach for Caleb Williams for 2 years, then you need to find another coach. And do you stunt Caleb Williams' development at that point, much like we talked about with Mac Jones with when McDaniels left? There's a lot of things that make it tricky.
But if it was still the Patriots of 20, I don't know if this is accurate to say 2020 and 2021, but they don't have the talent, but they're really tough to play against. They're well coached. They always come out and man, they are tough to put away. Those kind of things. If you were seeing that, I would have a little bit of more of that. It's just hard because we've been watching this, and I feel like for me to sit here and say I don't know, it's fine, would just be disingenuous because I've watched all the training camp practices, all the games, everything. Maybe not twice.
And I do think some people that listen to us, that's what they're expecting. Because I'm listening to Patriots.com because I don't want the 98.5, the Sports Hub, and the WEEI sort of snickering and negativity. Yeah. I want to listen to the team because I know they're going to, but we can't do that. And the reason that we can't do that, Fred will tell you, is because Robert and Jonathan Kraft demand that you don't do that.
It's a mandate.
It is a mandate.
Well, before
I ever went on a show, he told Fred to talk to us about when you go on these shows, it's great for the brand, it's great for us to get the publicity, and it's great for you. But if you don't tell them what you see and what you feel, they're never going to have you back. You lose all your credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Pettigrew, the most interesting Patriots fan in the world, says, not sure if you'll know this, Fred, but does a losing Patriots team impact the profitability of the team? Does this play into the Kraft's mindset on Bill? Do you make more money as a franchise if you're in the playoffs regularly? Do the radio deals pay better when you're winning, etc.?
Yes.
When renegotiations happen with sponsors, does recent performance factor into the bids? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like the stock market. A sponsor invests in you hoping you do well so that more people are watching, more people are listening, and it's better for your brand. You want to be associated with a winner.
Yeah.
It trickles down to everything.
Yeah. So in that way, you give Bill Belichick a lot of credit because he was coaching a team that made the franchise that much more profitable.
Yeah.
But these last 4 years, You look in the secondary market and you can buy a ticket for $40. That ain't good.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I mean, and how many, Mac Jones jerseys are they selling now? And, they got bumped off of Monday Night Football. Like, these are, and
so
these
it works both ways.
I mean, these are guys, too. I mean, this is like the pinnacle of competition right now. These owners are all billionaires, and they're all competitive. And, even things that probably don't even cross our radar are seen to them as like, well, we're not doing quite as, we could be better at this. Like, I feel like are as competitive as everybody. I mean, you just see how much they all pour into it.
Yeah. And as an NFL owner, you have to be really stupid to lose money, even if you're not selling out your stadium, because, a certain percentage of your revenue comes from ticket sales, but most of it is TV revenue, the broadcast arrangement. So you roll out of bed being profitable. However, everything's pooled. And those owners that don't pull their weight when it comes to tickets and other, revenue besides the TV, they're looked down upon. Mm-hmm. They don't have as much clout. When they get in the room, they're not contributing as much to the common pool, so they don't get listened to as much. Yeah. The owners that do, that are getting the top level for tickets in their market, that are bringing in the extra revenue that gets shared, among all the teams, that their jerseys are selling the more, they have more clout because they're making everybody richer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wonder all of this, whether it's Bill next year, or it's a different regime, at what point does the losing cause them to change the way that they do things on multiple levels? I don't think it's just really about some of the nitty-gritty stuff that we talk about on the show, the draft and all that kind of stuff. I think that there needs to be a different approach in general to how they build the roster, because I'm not one of those people that say that Brady made it all, all the warts go away or whatever. Like, they had great rosters for many years here with the Patriots. But I think that the landscape of how you build a team in the modern NFL, because the money coming in is so ridiculous from the TV deals, and the cap is just exorbitant. Matt Groh said to us last summer, like, there really isn't a salary cap. Like, the salary cap is like a guideline.
Well, he said it can be manipulated.
Yeah. And so basically he said that you could do whatever you want, and that the cap is not going to, it's so high and there's so much money to spend that the cap is really not going to inhibit you from doing anything. And I think a lot of teams have started to really take that approach, and they're the better teams in the league right now. The Niners are the best team in the league, and they trade for Chase Young at the trade deadline, and you're thinking to yourself, like, how can they do this? Like, how can they keep, because the cap is manipulated,
Yeah, I just, one thing too to say to that last call too is I get it. I mean, Bill Belichick leaving this place will be seismic whenever it happens. And, as somebody who remembers the Patriots before Bill Parcells got here, nobody cared. There was nothing really to make you care about that football team. Now, not to say that there aren't players now that, people don't care about, but Bill is the last big piece of that dynasty. When the Patriots play, it's Bill Belichick. When they're got to put graphics up right now, it's Bill Belichick. That's, it was Brady and Belichick. Brady left, and we saw how hard that was. And now when Bill leaves, that part of the identity is gone too. And you're kind of, I don't want to say nothing, but like, you're going to have to reestablish who this franchise is after him, what, who's going to be the marquee players. All of that is just kind of thrown to the wind, and it's distressing. It's comforting. There's still a part of me that's just like, God, it would just be so much easier to just have Bill back, and we know what the deal is, and we know how he does things, and it's hard to make these big decisions to blow it up. And as we talk about, there's GMs, there's coaches, there's a quarterback, there's free agency, there's all kinds. There's so much on the plate for what's going to happen this offseason.
I think sometimes, my best argument now, I think, for keeping Bill is just there are times at press conferences when he does open up about football stuff, where you're just like, holy crap, this guy knows more about football than anybody on planet Earth. Like, there's not a single person walking planet Earth right now, probably dead or alive, honestly, that knows more about football than Bill Belichick. And so no matter what, whether you agree with his philosophies in the modern NFL or not, the next guy is going to know less about football than the current guy that has the job.
And that's, I don't think there's much doubt about that. I liked Alex's point too about, like, we might look back with regret. I think there's a risk in that. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson couldn't get along, right? They built this unbelievable juggernaut, and they couldn't figure out a way to coexist. And they ended up moving on from the coach. obviously they've been chasing their tail ever since. That was in the early 90s, the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So there is definitely risk to it, but
and if people are unhappy with kind of the state of things now, okay, that's just a quarterback. Like, yeah, we're rebuilding, but that's just like a quarterback development thing.
Right.
Now we're also bringing in a new head coach. We're developing another quarterback, assuming we don't go out and get a big one in free agency. And then also the GM debacle. Like,
yeah.
What order does any of this stuff even fall into
The season
place?
ends January 7th for the Patriots. The off season starts immediately. It starts on January 8th. Basically, in my eyes, they've got 3 weeks to get their S together so that they're ready to go for all these.
I would like to hope that this is already going on.
I know, but I'm talking about the people
Fred,
in place.
What happens
and
when
ready
you're in
to
those
go.
meetings?
What
happens when you're in those meetings?
I'm not,
What do they talk about?
But, you know, we got the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, the Combines, the player visits. And all that stuff has to start happening, like, immediately. Yeah. Who's going? Who's doing what? There's no
why
time.
I think the GM is a really under.
I know.
You've been talking about this off air. I think it's a really underreported part of this.
I was talking to these guys, like something that just occurred to me on the drive in today, because I have a long drive and I get to think.
Now that he listens to,
they were talking about Mayo obviously as a leading candidate for the head coach. Yeah. Why not Mayo as the GM? I mean, everybody says that he's got these leadership qualities, right? His coaching qualities we haven't really seen. Like, he doesn't even have really a title. He's been a linebackers coach, I guess, but like his superpower supposedly is his communication skills and his leadership.
Yeah.
Right? He knows this organization because he grew up here.
Can he evaluate talent?
Well, no, but he can have people that do it for him.
Well, he might be able to. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not saying that as like
he oversees it. And by doing that, you get the collaborative process that you want. But you make sure as GM that you have smart people doing that stuff for you. There's more to being a GM than just drafting guys and deciding who you're going to sign for.
Well, I think
it's the whole operations of football that you have to consider.
I think that's why a lot of teams have like a John Elway, John Lynch type that is overseeing all of football operations from the bird's eye view, and they have their self-proclaimed their nerd to then go out and like scout guys, right? That. I think that's how a lot of teams now do it. And some of the candidates that we're going to talk about are the nerds, are the guys that are under John Lynch in San Francisco with Adam Peters or Mike Borgazzi, who I think grew up in Everett, Paul.
Absolutely. And he's very good friends with his uncle.
He's from Kansas City. Under Brett Veach with the Chiefs. These are guys that, if it does happen, like these are the candidates that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think it's a crazy idea that whatever the title is, general manager or president of operations or whatever, and Jerod Mayo might be a good fit for that, I don't
know. Personally, I think it's kind of a long shot. Can I just? I'm sorry to bring it back. There's just one thing I'm wondering about with Alex's regret thing. Like, do you think you're only going to regret it if Bill goes to another team and has success, or do you think? I mean, I just don't want to think like guess what? Another 3-win season is on the table if there's a new head coach next year, and that's not necessarily going to make me regret firing Bill Belichick. Right. So I don't know where the regret comes in.
My regret is only in that if you want me to be like the Hollywood ending, is that I wish that he could have said, I've had a great run, I'm done. And Robert said, yes, you've had a great run, and we're sorry that you're done, but here we go. You know what I mean?
I mean, the Hollywood ending is
that's the only
next
regret.
Year, they go to the Super Bowl, he breaks Shula's record, and he goes out,
No, that's the Hollywood ending for him, not for us.
It'd be for us, too.
Oh, if he did it here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that if we were in this situation, like I agree with Mike, I understand that there's a lot of work to do, and it's probably not going to all get fixed next year. So I'm fully, understanding the possibility of another losing record next season. That won't fill me with regret.
Yeah.
No. What I regret is that they couldn't sort of amicably end it and move on.
I just wonder. I think the bigger thing for me is just it looks like there's a ton to be fixed, but if they draft Caleb Williams and he's just Patrick Mahomes, like is it all going to be fixed like that? Like it won't
be in 1 year. It won't be.
But if he's Patrick Mahomes, you could be a playoff team.
I know.
I don't think you'd be a title
winner. But we're so
winner,
spoiled. Like Brady's first season as a starter, they won a Super Bowl. That's very rare.
But
it's more like Peyton Manning, where he has his struggles the first year.
I mean, in Mac's first year, they won 10 games and made the playoffs, and that was with Mac Jones.
But
imagine if the guys
his first year, he was the MVP.
But that was kind of an illusion, wasn't it?
But my point being is that there's a very real possibility with $75 million in cap space, the third pick or the second pick in every single round of the draft, and
the first pick on the table.
If you get the right picks and you make the right picks in the draft and you get, a little jump from free agency like you did in 2021, I don't see why this team can't be an 8, 9, 10 win
There's
team.
always a chance, but to me it's unlikely.
Yeah.
It's going to be, supposedly a new head coach, maybe new assistants. There's going to be a learning curve for everybody.
So I wanted to get back to
new
the
assistants
GM.
might be assistant by, addition by subtraction. In some
Maybe,
cases.
but I just think there's
are
going to
your
be
guys.
Again,
I said assistants. I didn't say
I just think
your guys.
I just think if you draft the next Hall of Fame quarterback, a first season like Peyton Manning is more likely than a first playing season with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to do it, but C.J. Stroud has got you in contention right now.
Yep.
Now, I would also say that Houston is like 4 years into this rebuild.
Yep.
Yeah, Casario.
So I don't think they're a great team. I think the quarterback is responsible for the.
Yeah,
they've been stacking.
We should be 4 years into the rebuild, but our rebuild has fallen apart.
It's kind of starting over because I think we went for the quick fix.
Yeah, the wheels came off our rebuild. Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard city to do a rebuild in.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
plays a lot. I think that plays into it.
And that's the whole point of my thing of and to your point, Fred, I think the range of what could happen next year is from 1 win to 10 wins. It's anything's really possible. You have no idea what this team's going to look like.
But I'll be ready for another losing season as long as you see the hope. You see the quarter. This guy can play. They've got money to spend. They're doing it right. They're buttoning up their operations. I'm okay with waiting.
Yeah.
As long as I see the trajectories going in the right direction.
I just know that if Bill still wants to be the coach here next year, they always have that end of year meeting with Mr. Kraft where he says State of the Union with Bill. Bill's going to have some sort of pitch or plan that he probably already pretty much knows. And we've talked about this before, and he's going to throw the quarterbacks under the bus. He's going to say that if we had we had, Paul, what was it, 7-1
score losses.
7-1 score losses. We had our best defensive player on injured reserve for the majority of the season, and we have quarterbacks that can't play. So if we get the quarterback fixed and we get Judon back and we get Christian Gonzalez back,
we spend some money,
10 wins.
Here we are.
You can make that. You can make the case too.
You can.
You can make the case.
And that's what.
And then Robert,
for better or worse.
Yeah, and then Robert has Bill Belichick back.
Yeah, I'd need to see what the schedule looks like and the state of the other teams before I would say that. But
well, yeah.
All right, your GM thing, and I know I know Fred's food's here,
my
but
food's here.
The GM thing I want to get to after the break because I'm curious how many guys you think the way you describe the GM is sort of the overseer of everything.
Yep.
Like, how many teams are known for their GM? Like, how many teams, it's clear the GM is the guy.
The guy that runs it.
Now, to me, even teams that don't have the head coach is the GM, the head coach is still kind of the CEO of the organization. Yeah. And they kind of have final say on the roster and all that stuff. I just wonder how many teams have that. And I think John Lynch, as you mentioned, is kind of that overlord. That's a good example. But how many teams are like that?
The one that that comes to mind immediately is Howie Roseman in Philly.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. But it's retractive. It's once they put a good team together, it comes second. It's never like, this guy's a great GM.
We're going to get Howie Roseman because he's going to build us from the studs on up.
I don't think Nick Sirianni's got anything to do with this success.
No. I don't disagree, but I agree with Mike's point. It was kind of after the fact, it's look at this team that Howie Roseman's built.
Well, all he does is
find
draft
out
with the mock
but in the past, it was Bill Polian.
Polian would be one of those.
And Butler from the Bills. He got credit for building that team. And I think maybe in the past, maybe GMs got more credit than they do now because they're just not out front. But
Polian built those Bills teams too, right?
Well, but Butler. Butler.
The Butler.
Look him up.
The Butler.
The GM Butler.
Jerry Butler, wide receiver out of Clemson. Good player.
Malcolm Butler.
But every team needs somebody running all aspects of it, and to do what Bill did is really hard. You know. But so, all right. Well, Paul's gonna eat. We'll be right back.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon. This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All on us with Unlimited Ultimate. Go to your local Verizon store now. 6 months of Apple One, then $10 per month. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Apple TV 4K and Apple One offers require eligible phone purchase with activation on Unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for details.
What's up, everybody? Bill Belichick spoke with the media this morning. Let's listen to what he had to say.
All right, so looking at the Broncos here, well-balanced team. Obviously, you see Sean's, mark on the team. Sean, ton of respect for him, what he's done through his career, and just the way he coaches, the way he prepares, and just the football coach that he is. I think Sean does a great job. But it's a well-balanced team, very explosive in the kicking game. Mims is having a great year. Both punt and kickoff returns, they really create a lot of field position there. And, offensively, got, good receivers, good running back, really good quarterback. Wilson's, definitely a problem. Running, throwing, extended plays, similar to what we talked about last week with Mahomes, but runs more. Runs more than most any quarterback in the league, maybe other than Jackson. And then defensively, they've really kind of hit their stride here the last few weeks. Turned the ball over a lot. Pretty well balanced team. Allen, Josie, Singleton, really productive at linebacker. Obviously Simmons and Surtain, two of the better DBs in the league. So. They've really can see their improvement over the course of the year, and turnovers have been a big thing. They've done a good job of turning the ball over and playing good third down defense, and they've been really good in the return game. So I think that's kind of those things really kind of sparked their last 7 or 8 games, whatever it's been, where they've won most of them. So different group to get ready for than what we saw back in 20. Obviously, a lot of changes, but they've done a good job. Sean's done a good job there.
You mentioned Mims in the return game. How do you feel like your coverage units have been performing, I guess, this season for Buffalo?
Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Our net punt is better than what it's been. Some of that's come with some return yardage, but the balls are punted further. And kickoff, didn't have a good one there against Indianapolis, but we haven't covered a lot of kickoffs. We haven't returned a lot of kickoffs.
What has Nathan Rourke done over the course of his career that's caused you to say, I want to work with him?
Yeah, well, just the depth at that position. When you only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, guy sprains his ankle, you're down to, putting a receiver or a running back or somebody at quarterback. So, but it's productive. Preseason, Canada. So.
Talking to Cam Acord yesterday, coming just talking about Chad, and he said in practice, he seems to be making a lot of these shorter kicks. And when I heard him say that, it made me think that maybe a little bit of a surprise that it isn't carrying over to the games. I'm curious, do you see it similarly, and what are your thoughts on where things are with Chad?
Yeah, I agree with Chad. Cam.
You mentioned Broncos showing a lot of improvement this year, certainly on offense. Sean Payton had a lot of success in New Orleans. Now he's having some immediate success in Denver. What is it about his offense that is so challenging for a defensive coordinator?
He does a good job of putting stress on the defense, whatever the defensive rules and adjustments, and fundamentals are, he does a good job attacking them. And they obviously have good players. You know, they start at the same line in every game, so they've got a lot of continuity there. Quarterback's, unique player. He's got a lot of skill. Receiver Sutton. Sutton's good as there is. Big guy, great hands, contested catches, a really hard guy to cover. He's had tremendous production, especially down the field. So, good players.
Injuries happen every year. And I was wondering, the amount of injuries you've had this year, have you ever dealt with a situation like this where you've had so many injuries with so many important pieces, and just, I guess, how frustrating is that, noting it's obviously out of your control, a lot of these guys' control?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost all contact injuries, so those are hard to account for, concussions, knees, ankles, shoulders. It's been contact injuries. So, you got a couple sicknesses, flus here and there, but, control what you can control. Train the players the best you can, get them in good condition. But, when you see contact injuries like Cole's injury, that's be a hard one to prevent. Take it day to day.
Coach, what have you seen from your rushing attack the past couple of weeks?
We had some pretty heavy boxes last week from Kansas City, so we got to be ready for that again. But sometimes it comes down to numbers. Actually, blocking the guys we have to block, but when there are more numbers than that, certain ways to deal with that, but it's makes it a little more challenging. So you need more production throwing the ball, which when we have that, then that tends to loosen things up a little bit. So just depending on what we see and how the game unfolds.
How valuable is Miles Bryant in this season, with all the changes that you've had at cornerback?
It's been valuable every year. Returning punts, playing in the kicking game, playing outside, playing inside. It's the same thing last year. Yeah, he's one of our most versatile players, and he's able to handle a lot of different responsibilities. And he's had to, and he's done a good job. But yeah.
Bill, you mentioned Denver's D is hitting its stride. They gave up 70 points in Week 3. Now they're in the playoff mix. What specifically have you seen that they've been able to improve throughout the season?
Yeah, everything. Takeaways have been big. Fundamentals. Not giving up big plays, tackling better. A lot of little things, but it's all big things. It's all defensive football. They do a good job of defeating blockers. They have a good fundamental team, and they play with a lot of effort. They get a lot of hustle plays, second effort plays, effort sacks, strip fumbles, things like that.
I know when you saw Vance Joseph last year in Arizona, different team roster, all that, but do you see it carry over that same high pressure blitz philosophy here in Denver week to week?
No, I'd say it's a little different than what they did last year in Arizona. Yeah.
With the season where it is, and obviously playoffs no longer consideration, do you find it harder to motivate the players and the coaches and everyone to,
I'm just ready to go every week.
Any chance Coach Glenn is back this week?
I don't think so.
You mentioned the heavy boxes that you're getting from Kansas City with the run game. Is that something that you've seen as a common theme at all recently against your offense?
No, it's varied. It's varied from week to week. There were a couple of games we saw it. Some games we didn't see from Indianapolis. Some were Pittsburgh. But we'll see. They mix it up. They don't do the same thing every time, but there's definitely a lot of. We saw a lot of in Kansas City.
What have you seen progression-wise from Kevin Harris?
said, good. Just a solid guy. He's here every day. Works hard every day. Scout team, offense, kicking game. Just worked hard on his pass protection, pass routes. Just he can carry the ball, but he's worked on other parts of his game too to help him become a more well-rounded player. Solid guy. Works. Gives you really solid effort every day. Okay. All right. Thank you.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
I know he's a friend of the show, but the pre- and post-game shows have become largely about soothing or feeding Hardy's ego, and he offers little actual information about the team or the game. It's so frustrating. Wow.
Oh, we should bring this
That's
up. That's
entirely inaccurate.
Yeah, Hardy. I don't know if Hardy has an ego.
He has the smallest
I think if anything,
ego in this room.
I think if anything, he's got inferior complex.
Yes,
inferiority.
I would agree.
Yeah. He's a very busy guy. He's got 98.5. Then he does series. He's got the music show. So
he's got golf.
Yeah,
a lot of golf.
The golf show that he does.
Golf show.
But he gets free stuff for that, so I'm a little jealous.
No,
Did you get those clubs?
He took care of.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Custom PXG clubs.
He gave you clubs?
No.
Oh.
He got those. He got free.
Yeah, and I got his leftovers.
Oh, did you?
He said he gave me a set of irons.
Nice. Ooh. What kind?
I don't know. I didn't look at him yet.
Set of irons.
You don't even look at him?
No. We just the other night when we were leaving, he put them in my trunk.
Oh. So you're not even curious to what they are?
No, I'll look at them when I get a chance.
I would want to know what kind of clubs I got.
I got some new clubs. I got to fill
Aren't
them
you
up.
excited? Look at he's so blasé.
I've been working on
new
my
set of
short game
irons.
lately.
Just rolling around in the back of his car.
Right.
They're in a bag, idiot.
I'd want to know, are they Callaways? Are they Pings?
I expect that from him, not you. I expect more out of you.
I'd be excited to get a new set of irons.
Mike, how's your putting?
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered, 855 500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address.
Hey, didn't we have trivia questions yesterday?
Yeah.
Or something? What happened to those? Did you ever read
right.
those?
I got to do that.
Yeah.
Did you send?
Wait, is it the
Matt,
same
did
ones
you
as
send me those?
yesterday?
Yeah, we never read them.
Yeah, I didn't read them. I weren't handed them. I wasn't handed them.
No, I weren't.
I can't talk.
I can't talk. Excellent buffalo chicken sandwich, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
From the comments.
That did
look
you,
good.
Paul.
It was good. Good sandwich.
I got shortchanged. Maybe they gave you one of my 3 chicken fingers. I only got 2.
Uh-oh.
No, I think Evan got
Oh,
the
you
extra.
should talk to someone
I think
about
I
that.
Maybe
'cause
one
they
fell out.
increased the price.
You checked the bag?
Of
They
course I
increased
did.
the price on those, so that's bull.
What? Oh, they go to 4 to 5?
Yeah, they went up a little. Weren't they 3?
I don't know.
Back in the day when they first launched?
All right, while
It's a pretty good
Matt's
deal
printing out
regardless.
those
I'm
trivia,
fine with
let's
it.
get to the phones. Mark's in Everett. Hey, Mark.
Fred, thank you as always for taking my call. Merry Christmas to the whole gang. I mean that sincerely. Merry Christmas to everyone. 2
Happy
quick
Hanukkah.
things. Being a squish to fish guy, I grew up in Everett, watching football. We hated the Dolphins. I think most of us just don't want to see Bill beat Shula's record on another team. So we're all trying to hang in there just for the other 17 games so we can at least leave with the Shula record because we lost the 18-1 season, so we couldn't take that record away from them. So I think that's why we're all feeling like maybe we should keep Bill just for a couple more years, just to get that record.
Great.
Whether we go 6-11 or
For another
8,
decade, why not?
you know what I mean? I think that's what we're feeling.
Yeah.
He's not feeling that way.
I'm not feeling that way. I can tell you that much.
I don't
So
know.
if he was a Dallas Cowboy and he beat Shula's record, that wouldn't bug you at all?
Nope, it really wouldn't.
Not in the least.
I can honestly tell you, I'm not kidding. It wouldn't. I'd be happy for him, and I
Like
wouldn't bother me.
18-1 will always bother me.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
I think about that's my Roman Empire.
But
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, how much do you want him to beat the Shula record? Like, what's that going to mean to you? Like,
And then-
is that going to be like
and
a
then
big
Andy
celebration?
Reid's going to beat it a few years later. I mean, I don't really care. You know
If
what?
Andy Reid
And
wants to, he will.
And everybody says this, but I'm not sure Bill cares about that record that much.
A 6-10 Bill Belichick.
I've never
beats
heard
the
him
record
say a
like that.
word about it.
I mean, I'd much rather have the Super Bowls, right?
Well,
like
just,
the championship.
Just like, as a point of fact, like Mark was just sort of like throwing it, even if it's like 6-11 11 and 8.
That's like 4
Just so you
4
know,
years.
if that happens, 6 and then 8, he needs a third year,
Right.
to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
And you can't control it. Like, you don't know if it's even going to happen here. You don't know who it's going to happen against.
And again, like, what is it? Like, and he just broke the record. Great. Okay, back to the game. I
think he cares to
We'd
an
have
extent.
we'd have a cool
He cares
graphic
about
about
football.
Oh, I think he
history
cares.
and
I
his
think he
legacy
cares
and-
about it.
But like, I just think the way that it's built up, that like all he cares about right now is like winning those.
Oh,
like, I
definitely
just think
not.
that's kind of like ridiculous. I mean, you already got the championships. Like that's where it's at for me. But
But someday there's going to be another head coach who coaches a long time, and gets a great quarterback and piles up a lot of wins. And they'll break that record.
It could be
Andy
right
Reid
now.
and
Right.
Exactly.
It's the Super Bowls that are the important thing.
I don't think Andy Reid's going to catch him.
I don't think so either, because I don't think he's interested in coaching much longer.
Yeah.
He was thinking about retiring after winning the Super Bowl last year.
Yes.
But if he
But a
wanted
few years
to,
ago, it seemed out of question that anyone
like
would
if he
touch
wanted
it.
to coach for
And
5
now
more
not so
years,
much.
he'd have a legit shot.
Yeah. Especially if he stays healthy.
All right, here's the trivia questions. You ready, Paul? You're not peeking, are you?
No.
All right.
I can't
Peaked
see
in
that
high
far
school.
anyway.
What year did the NFL
College,
switch?
actually.
That
He's
was
in the Hall of Fame.
well done right there. That was good. You got to give. You identified the mic, and mic is on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can
My
I read it now?
apologies.
Or?
Can I finish?
What year did the NFL switch from Reebok to Nike?
Oh Jesus.
2012.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That I was.
Spoken like somebody
I mean,
whose
that's
dad
what- no.
worked for Reebok.
Yeah,
Come
that's,
on, guy.
That's a mic question.
I'm the guy.
And Alex got that.
No, Mike got it.
He says emailer Alex got it.
Oh, email Alex.
I'm not
Yeah.
emailing.
Last name, no where it was from, just Alex as the
Okay.
emailer.
Then
they
they
went
want to
to
get
Alex.
a
It
T-shirt.
was a ridiculous email. It said Alex and some bunch of numbers. And
All
whatnot.
right. No wonder why.
How many
they can't
career
get the prizes.
sacks did Teddy Bruschi have?
How many career sacks?
23.
Incorrect.
You just
No,
looked
I'm
that
gonna
up?
say. Wait, let's do Jeopardy rules. Closest without getting over. 37.
That's Price is Right.
Sorry.
That's incorrect.
18.
That's incorrect. It's 30 and a half.
Oh, I was right.
Colleen and Houston got that. And finally, when was the last time the Patriots had a top 10 draft pick?
Gerard Mayo.
Well, yeah, he was 10 though, right?
28.
So are we?
Yeah, that's top 10.
Top 10.
Well,
10 is in the 10.
And Mayo is
Is
correct.
10 not
08.
in the top
Yep.
10?
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about with the confusion though, numbers of
Like-
2008.
2008.
You know what always confuses me?
Chad Martin got that.
What does your brain do when someone's like, "Oh, it was in the 18th century"? What do you like? 'Cause I always
I have
like,
to think.
subtract one, right?
Yeah, immediately you think.
like,
90?
so that's the 1700s. Got it.
Wait, what?
You know, like the
This
19th.
is, I know nothing about.
Yeah,
this
we're in
kind
the
of stuff.
we're right now we're in the 21st century, but it's
Right.
the 2000s.
You know, it's always you're always one ahead
Why
with the
does-
century. So,
why
back
does
in the
everything have to
19th
be
century, that's
stupid?
the 1800s. It's not the 1900s.
Why can't it just make sense?
I know that's numbers are hard.
Like,
It does make sense.
Oh yeah, like just like our system of measurement instead of the metric system makes
Oh,
sense.
don't get me started.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's like your first birthday isn't the day you're born. You have to go through that whole year.
Talk about prognostic.
No, the years make sense.
That's what
right.
I'm saying. I'm
Yeah,
saying
with you.
calling it the 21st
Yeah.
century,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
the 2000s
Right.
makes sense.
Right, because the
You have to
hundreds
finish
were
the
the
century,
second
and then-
century.
Right.
I remember in grade school, and
I'm glad
this
I
is
brought
like
this up.
50 years ago,
Yeah.
or even more. We have to get ready for the metric system.
Right?
We're going to be converted, and it never happened.
And even as
should've.
kids, you were
We
like, "This is
should've.
ridiculous. Why don't we just use this? This makes so much sense. Everything is connected. It's all easy."
not
And
too
like, "Nope,
late.
but we're on the mile."
yards.
There's a great recent Nate Bargatze Saturday Night Live sketch about this whole thing, where it's like he's in colonial times explaining the ridiculous nature of like using.
Yeah,
We're
like
gonna
they
measure
came up
by
with
rods.
An acre.
Yeah.
Like I think an acre is how much one single man could reasonably plow in a day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
That's what we're talking about when you come up with, I'm going to live in Tennessee because there's no taxes there. That was the Alexist thing ever right there. The acre came about, of course, Cliff Clavin. That was the amount that could reasonably be plowed by a man. Who knows that?
I'm boring, huh?
I know.
No,
that-
that's fascinating. That's the opposite of boring.
I, know
I
this stuff
credit
about
that to
football,
Lenore
40-yard
Paul, my
dash.
5th grade teacher. Rest in peace.
I feel like Andy should weigh on this because if anybody's gonna like
He
plow an
probably-
acre,
yeah.
he'd be the guy
I
to
could
do
do
it.
two, then.
I could do two. So
are
so
you
I
plowing?
deserve
acre's
to have
bigger
2
than
acres
yours.
for the price of one.
This is what you guys always do. You change my argument.
But Fred's right. The two things that I spent, my elementary school years being drilled into my head. This is how it'll be. 1976, 1977. The metric system. And soccer is the sport of the
At
future.
least you guys didn't have to
Those are
learn
the two
cursive.
things that everybody told me would be.
Yeah.
At least
facts.
you guys had to actually use cursive for some portion
yeah.
of your life.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had to learn it, and then
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cursive.
But I think, as a country, we're the ultimate procrastinators about the metric system.
Sure.
We'll put it off another year.
That would really throw football off.
Yeah.
So what are we going to go to 100-meter field instead of 100 yards?
How close are a meter and a yard?
It's not very. Yeah.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
No.
I don't know, Jim.
Why are you asking me these questions? That's
A
what I
meter-
thought.
a meter's a little more than a yard.
In the margins.
You got to go to Schoolhouse Rock.
Wait, but why are you asking me
go
these
to
types of
meters.
questions?
Athletes are getting
It's a little
better
more than a
anyways.
yard. If
Extend
you
the
think about
field.
it that way, it's really not that hard.
I'm assuming you know all the accurate dimensions of a football field, though, from from the hashes in and et cetera. Et
Yeah,
cetera.
but that's because I shouldn't know those types of things. Like
It's like
Alex
33 and a
knowing
third
like
yards.
an acre is probably more,
random.
No, I think that's probably better for life than me randomly knowing how far the hash marks are apart.
Probably. I mean,
Yeah, but
you gonna
it's
plow
so
an acre?
subjective.
How many acres can you plow?
Everybody's different,
I know.
Yeah.
That's just how
Saying the
stupid
word
it is.
plow a lot.
Metric system. Let's go. It's not too late.
Let's go to Rashad in Baltimore. What's up, Rashad?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to say something about Zappe, because I do think that the team just looked better with him. But I gotta talk about Bill, because I heard somebody call in. I heard a couple people call in.
Yeah.
Just saying stuff about Bill and why we should keep him, and then they said something about the record. I'm gonna say this: nobody cares about that record. I mean, at least nobody. I mean, I don't care about the record. I don't care. I don't care if he gets with another team. I don't care about that. And the reason why we want Bill, we want to change, because just look at what the team has been. Like, you can't keep living off the past. And just think about it like this: people who want Bill as a coach. Like, if his name wasn't Bill Belichick, if it was, Tom Smith, he wasn't like just don't think about all the accolades that he's done. Let's think about all the stuff that he's done as a coach and a GM the past 3, 4, 5 years. If he was anybody else, they would be gone. They would be gone, and it wouldn't even be a discussion. So I think there's a lot of people, and I really think it's the older Patriot fans. You gotta let it go. It's time for a change. I mean, unless people like saying 3-13 seasons and stuff like that, they like saying mediocre offenses, mediocre games. It's time for a change. You can't keep living off the past.
Yep.
That's all of the Super Bowls and stuff. Yes, we're gonna remember it and cherish it, but we're not gonna see any more than we keep him, and we keep going through the same stuff. If we get a new quarterback with Bill, I don't feel confident. I'm not gonna feel confident with him as the coach.
And how long is it going to last? That's the thing. All right, thanks, Rashad.
Yeah, and just we don't have to belabor that, but he's right. If it was just a regular guy, but that's part of it. There's a lot more information than just the last 4 years, and that should be Bill should get more leeway than Harry Smith, who's coached the last 4 years.
Wouldn't you I would argue he had did this last 4 years has been the leeway though, right?
I'm not saying.
No,
but he's saying if this was anybody else, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
Right.
No, we wouldn't. But that's part of it. The fact that he's won 6 titles, have been to 9.
Yeah.
The fact that people are even considering keeping him, it's because of his history. It's because we know how great he has been.
Yeah, I came across just something I thought was interesting in our little stat pack that we get. The Broncos.
Mucho más respect for the fact that you still print it out. By the way.
I enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You don't have to thank me.
He highlights it too.
I do. The Broncos haven't been to the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl in 2015. You know how many head coaches they've gone through in that time?
I'll say 3.
I got them pulled up.
Vic Fangio.
So Vic Fangio.
Gary Kubiak won the Super Bowl.
But he was the coach.
Yep.
So
I'm starting there.
Vic Fangio.
You missed one.
Vance Joseph.
That's 2.
And Nathaniel Hackett. And now Peyton. Right?
So, I mean, it's
what
the Patriots haven't, I mean, that's, kind of to his point.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a team that won the Super Bowl. I mean, our Patriots won the Super Bowl in 2018. They've gone through 4 coaches, and we're kind of in some.
Now the only difference is if Kubiak didn't step away for health reasons, he probably would have been the coach for another 4 years.
Yeah, well.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
that's a
without
technicality.
once Peyton fell out and
didn't mean to add context.
Let's go to Spee in Fresno. What's up, Spee?
Evan, happy Hanukkah, Chag Sameach.
Thank you. See, some people understand.
What did you say?
It's not just all.
What is
of
this? What is this Hanukkah thing?
Oh, don't be rude.
I'm joking.
That's it. And a holly jolly Christmas to the rest of you.
No, it's okay. You don't have to say that part.
No. And Tamara's birthday.
Yes.
You definitely don't.
Happy
need to say
birthday
that
to
part.
Tamara.
Happy birthday, Tamara. In the post-game show, there was a call from David in Atlanta, I think, and I thought it was interesting. He was really frustrated with Bill drafting Mapu, only to give him, to have him ride the bench because of the depth at safety, and at the same time, kind of neglecting glaring positions that need in the draft, like tight end and tackle.
Yep.
And hearing that good discussion, it kind of reminded me of that Belichick quote from, I believe it was relayed from Urban Meyer, like 5 or 6 years ago, where Bill's talking about, at this point in my career, I only want to coach guys I like or want to coach and not other players. And it's like, whether it's Mapu or Jordan Richards, it just seems like Bill, sometimes at least, prioritizes like a collection of traits over overall football talent. And what I wanted to ask you guys, do you see that as a change in him and his approach? Like, you guys used to say how, like, Tom changed, but Bill didn't change. But I wonder, when you look at that quote, he's saying at a certain point in his career, his approach to player acquisition changed. And I just wonder about your thoughts on all that stuff.
That's a good question. I mean, and I thought a little bit about that.
Thanks, Pete.
And, maybe in Jordan Richards' case, I get it because he was just like super duper nice guy, but, couldn't play. And but all the guys he's drafted and that he's missed on, I don't necessarily feel like, and I mean, I'm not meaning this as it's going to sound as a shot, but they're not all these great, awesome guys that you're like, oh, I could see why personality-wise he would want to have this guy. Like, they're all continuing to be kind of a mishmash of, across the spectrum of any average, personality spectrum. So I just don't really see it. I mean, I understand what they're saying, and I'd love to be able to say, like, yeah, that's why they've had too many misses in the draft, that they're just trying to draft, nice guys who are going to do what they're told. I do think that they are trying to, project guys that can handle the demands of this place and what they ask of them. But
Listen,
I don't know.
I've said it recently. If Bill's philosophy on drafting was simply, he's the best guy that fits our system and he's a good football player, great. But there's all this other stuff that he factors in. Who's his head coach? Do I owe him a favor? Do I want a favor? Has he been loyal to me? I want to be loyal to them. Do I like that school? Did it, and I think that's too much of what goes into his decisions,
Yeah.
Like the whole Greg Schiano period. I'm not saying that Slater wasn't good or Deron Harmon or Logan Ryan.
Went to UCLA.
But it's
Leave him alone. It's on a roll.
not Slater, but all the guys that they
Harmon,
and Logan
Steve
Ryan,
Boharnis.
McCourty. I meant McCourty when I said Slater.
Got to leave that one out.
Justin
But
Francis.
it was so obvious that he was doing a favor for Greg Schiano and
boosting the program.
Yeah, boosting the Rutgers program, and that should not be a factor.
Yeah.
And only Bill Belichick could get away with that. Any other GM or head coach, the owner would be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean,
what are you doing?
It's
I don't care if your son played there."
Yeah, it's just striking because your second and third round pick are just kind of sitting on the bench and playing minor roles right now. Meanwhile, you are having to scramble to find just a tackle to play, and among other positions.
Or I don't know, a quarterback, because you just keep letting them go.
That too.
You're exposing them to be plucked off your practice squad, and you think enough of it that you immediately replace them every time it happens.
Yeah. I will say that Mapu, just from the conversations I've had with him, really is a bright football, high IQ football mind for a young kid.
He's on Evan's level.
Yeah, no, he's definitely beyond that.
Yeah.
No, he's really he can really talk the game.
Yeah.
At a high level. But I think with him, we mentioned Duggar a little bit earlier in the show, that's who he's here to replace.
Yeah.
And it just is odd to me that at certain positions they are continuing to try to be a step ahead of holes that are coming down the road, but other positions just get the same thing but completely ignored.
And
like
positions
tackle.
that didn't, positions that they used to do that to, like tackle.
Right.
And
like
running
tackle
back
gets ignored, but strong safety, we now have 6 of those guys. So don't worry about that position.
You have a guy who played extensive snaps at that position who doesn't even get on the field, and Adrian Phillips.
Yeah, right.
He's the poor guy. He looks,
Yeah.
He seems he seemed like he was emerging as a team leader, a guy, and now this year he is. I think he's under contract for next year, but I would be surprised if he's back.
Jeff in Brooklyn says Bill will leave. Bill will have success elsewhere. He, like Brady, at a certain point in time expressed that he didn't want to be here, but he's the coach and GM, so his mutinous outbursts have greater ramifications. Bill's the best, like Brady, but it's run its course. I don't know about mutinous outbursts. That's a little strong.
I don't know about that either, but I mean, like, that was the one thing I took exception to. The gentleman in Tennessee, I can't remember his first name now. Robert in Tennessee. Yeah, just that, now we're trashing this, and like we're not giving him credit for that, and really that couldn't be any more off base, because I still today, if you ask me who I think the best coach that's ever done it is, he'd be my answer. But I just don't think that he's coaching now the way he coached then, and I think some of the things that Fred brought up are part of that reason, and I do think that they need to get a little bit more modern. Did you guys catch this about a week, maybe a week and a half or so ago? There was a question. Someone asked a question. It might have been Callahan, Alex's favorite, about sort of watching the league and other teams offensively, stuff, something along those lines. Basically, how much do you watch these teams?
I think I know what you're talking about.
And he kind of said, we're in a day to day. We don't have time to do. I don't watch other teams, and I'm like, I understand that probably Bill is not being super literal with that. I'm not dumb. Like, I get that he is aware of how the Niners, as an example, play offense, but like, you're not watching other teams intently and trying to steal from them the way everybody else does? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you offer, yourself all of the information as a potential aid to get this offense in gear?
Yeah, it's like a stubbornness. And I wonder if he is as stubborn as he kind of comes off as in that regard.
I would just wonder how much he really respects offense.
Well, a lot of things is deflection. So if I tell you I don't watch it, you can't ask me about it because I have a built-in excuse not to have an answer for it. But maybe he does and just doesn't tell it. I don't know. But that's, one of the reasons why a lot of the media get frustrated with him.
I think it's just striking the contrast, though, to on the defensive side of the ball and, kind of the creativity that they employ. And, I'm sure Brady enabled them to be a lot more creative. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit of when you don't have the talent, can you really afford to install a new game plan every week? Like, don't you just have to get back to a point when you just do what you do and you do it really well? And I mean, a lot of teams get by on that. But I think they've been spoiled, They've been spoiled with their success and the things that they've had success at. And I think, they continue to believe that they can get back to those things. And, I mean, that's been the challenge. And, I mean, I think going back to the call from Tennessee, it's, does Bill want to keep doing this? And, what really – I mean, we heard Evan kind of say what the pitch would be, of putting on kind of the quarterback and then, the turnovers and those things. But I don't know. It seems like a big lift right now trying to get everything back in line.
And, I hate to say it, but the money is a factor too. He's being paid more than any coach in sports.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. You hate to say that, but it has to be.
Yeah.
AJ in the Bay Area, but from Providence, listening to the earlier caller reminds me of how much Belichick has done for this organization. And I'll admit that I've been very critical of Bill and extremely frustrated with his team and his management of the quarterback and wide receiver position. But maybe we are understanding how much the loss of Bill would be the end of everything we have left of the dynasty era. But I still believe it's time to move on, and I sincerely hope for a positive end to this era, better than Brady's departure. I also have to say that you guys have no idea how much this podcast means to us fans. I listen to every episode because you guys articulate how we fans feel. You keep it as genuine as we would. You are probably the only thing right now that keeps me interested in this team. Fred and Paul are the Belichick and Brady of Patriots radio, and I don't want to hear any more about Paul needing a raise. Pay that man. You guys are performing better than ever before.
I'm the Brady.
Yeah.
What are you, Alex? What am I? I think I'm the Edelman. Maybe the Edelman.
You're the supporting.
I come in
you're
late.
The supporting
I come
cast.
in late. I come in later.
And the rest.
Andy was the Welker.
You're like Larry Izzo.
Oh no. I'm really tough.
Yeah, the other part of that, as you were talking about, when Evan said like the plan that he goes to Robert with, and you make a good point. Like, we don't talk about the GM a lot, to Fred's point, and we don't talk about this. Do you think Bill wants to be back?
No.
Right.
I don't think that's ever really.
Does he
maybe
look
look at him
fed
from that
up?
side. He might be just as fed up as anybody else.
Does he look at this team and, not necessarily, we can talk about blame, but, just look at the team and say, look, I got to be honest. This is going to take too long to repair this. I see what this team is, and, no matter how it's kind of ended up at this point, this is what it is, and I got to be honest. I only have a few years left. I don't think I have the time to put all the pieces back into place.
Jack in Ann Arbor says a meter is 1.09361 yards, so a meter is 0.09361 yards longer than a yard. So
Okay.
they're very similar.
It's a little longer than a yard.
Yeah.
I gave you my Schoolhouse Rock.
Let's go to
How does a bill become a law, Paul?
Patty in Agawam.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy belated Hanukkah.
Okay.
First things first, I got to give a shout out to my fellow Whack Packers, Cat in Chicago, Chris with the TIAN, Chester in Portland, and Fred.
Yeah.
Tennessee colors. Can we just keep it this week, kid?
Oh no, I like that.
That was a good call,
and I mean what I said.
No,
like
that was a good call.
that kind of loyalty, that's admirable. I think that's admirable.
No, it's hard to call into us and yell at us too.
Well, that's not
For
hard.
some people.
Everybody does that.
True.
Unlike me, it was very entertaining. But just to sort of answer Willem and Philem too, I've been a Pats fan for almost 40 years now, and Paul and Mike, you probably might not or you may vaguely recall, but after the Cowboys game, I said I was done with Belichick. I was a Mac backer. I was done with Mac after that game too, and my fellow Whack Packers can attest to this. I said they'd be lucky to win 3 more games this year, and I can't understand. I can't wrap my head around how any Patriots fan, being completely objective, can look at what Belichick's done to the offensive side of the roster, at least, and the special teams over the last few years, and say he deserves another shot. And like you said earlier, Paul, it just looks like he hasn't evolved as far as coaching or wanting to coach offense.
That
Thanks,
would be
Patty.
and not having any fact to back it up. Obviously, I just feels from watching the way they play that he has sort of a disdain for offense. I want to show you that any offense, and I do think that this gets to the way that they coach the second half the other day. I'm not letting that offense get over 30 points on me. So I don't care. I'm not going to win the game because the game's lost. And I get it. The game was lost. But 31 other head coaches would have gone for it in an effort to try to make a miracle comeback. He, I think, was more interested in keeping the other team under 30 for whatever reason. I don't know how that makes the defense look any better. The defense was not good on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I think he thinks it looks better because they only scored 27.
Do you think it has to do with that he kind of could be hands-off for the last 2 decades on the offense, and it was pretty much, Tom? And obviously we've seen clips of Brady, and they meet every day.
That's why they were so
They
successful.
talked about it, but he didn't really have to maybe be the driving force behind the
so
offense.
don't you think that
schematically.
if you put him on a lie detector test, right? Brady at the height of his powers, so let's say 07.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that he thinks he could put a defense together that would keep that team in check?
Yeah. Take away Moss over the top, get down on Welker.
Which was only part of the equation that year. That was 2 years later that he said that.
Yeah.
But
sure. I mean,
I think
but look,
I think you caught a glimpse in that Monday night game in the COVID year when I was in my I was down in my lair. The only game I've ever missed.
Right. I remember
when I
that.
was so sick, and I'm listening to Louis Riddick and Brian Greasy absolutely torch Josh Allen out of the production meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? He thinks that little of Josh Allen, and I believe that to this day, that he does not. I think he has respect for Mahomes, the ability, but I don't believe that he thinks that any of these guys are all that.
I still, though, because I kind of approach the game, too. I think a lot of people just, approach the game through a defensive lens, and I think that will always be how he is, and that's kind of, personally, just when I like to watch the game, that's my favorite side of the ball. So I don't know. It's hard because how can you have a disdain for offense? You have to understand you have to score points in this league, and you're never going to go into every game thinking well, we're just going to shut them down and hopefully we get a point or two. That part of it I struggle with, but I do think that maybe he's been out of it and he hasn't had to do the things like you said earlier.
But the way he wants
implementing
to win is my point. I think that because of Brady, he was able to win anyway.
Yeah.
because Brady was just that good. I think he went into games thinking, I want to win 20-17. I don't want to win 37-34. But Brady had the ability to win any way that the game unfolded.
I think that's interesting, Paul, because, I mean, I feel like he probably every week is pouring a lot of energy into the defensive side of the ball and thinking that, you know, if the offense is taken care of, if we can do our job on defense, and that's what I enjoy, then we're going to have a chance. So, I mean, I kind of see what, from that angle.
Just I totally admit that this is a complete exaggeration. Like, I'm not in any way suggesting that Bill doesn't want to win no matter what the score is.
Yeah.
Like, Bill wants to win over lose. Like, no, I understand. But I'm just thinking, in a perfect world, like in his mind, wouldn't it be great if I could beat Peyton Manning 24-14 when the week before they scored 800 points against Kansas City and didn't punt?
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's looking at. He didn't want to win that game because we just outscored them like they did in the regular season game, 38-34. He wanted to win it on his terms.
Yeah,
I think if it perfect in a perfect world. Yeah, he'll take a win no matter what.
I see what you're saying, but I would assume that like someone like Andy Reid, when he looks at an opponent, he says, "All right, this is how we're going to light him up on offense," and that is his focus.
And I
he's
think
probably
with Bill, this is how
the same kind of thing with the
check.
defense. He's like Spags. Keep it in check. You know, get aggressive here. Don't get aggressive here. But you know, generally, these are the curveballs we're going to throw them on offense. And you know, I've talked about this before. I mean, I think the evolution of the league fed perfectly into the brilliant mind of Andy Reid, who's an excellent offensive football coach, and as offensive football exploded, he is so smart. He's able to take every advantage of that. And for someone like Bill, who approached it defensively, it's gotten harder and harder and harder to.
But if Andy Reid didn't have a guy like Mahomes, he couldn't do the things he wants to do. Because you need a smart quarterback.
But you wouldn't be as successful as he is. Mahomes put you over the top.
Right.
But he scored 40 with Alex Smith against you, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he had, Mike is, first of all, Donovan McNabb is as average can get. And he went to 4 straight conference championship games with him.
Yeah.
Now, Mahomes has made him a great coach. No question. And there's no great coaches that don't have that great quarterback to go with you. Andy Reid was a good coach in Philly. He's a great coach with Mahomes.
Yeah, and what I like, and we saw it last week, like, it's just he has fun on offense. Like, you know, the stuff that he does.
That play was fun. I'm not a huge...
You're not a fun guy. But, but you know, like the one where they get in the circle and they're going around. Like, I don't know. It's just, it brings some entertainment to the game.
See, when they were, like, the one on Sunday, that was awesome.
Yeah, but for a reason.
And when you pull it off, it puts the defense on their heels. It makes them real.
Did you see the replay of that
play? Like their head is
like,
oh my God, what did I just see? Yeah. And you're taking that to the next series of downs. Like, I just saw something I still can't figure out. What are they going to do next?
There was like 6 people on the defense sort of moving to the wrong side.
Yeah.
As that play was unfolding.
As designed.
And I would say like this, the touchdowns that they scored in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember this, Mike. I know you don't tend to remember plays because you don't like football like I do.
Shots across the bow. Do
you remember like the little the reverse motion and all of a sudden Sky Moore is completely uncovered.
Right.
Kadarius Toney of all people didn't drop it.
Right.
He was completely uncovered. Those plays, I'm like, there's a lot of design.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of window dressing with the motion. They're trying to confuse you, and you're seeing it work.
Yeah.
You know, that's the little ring around the rosy stuff.
No, I know that, and to be honest, the little ring around the rosy was a little much to me too.
But it puts stuff in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, there's a reason for it.
And
what did I just watch?
But there's a reason for
like
it,
they had a
too.
little shovel that they threw earlier in that game that the Patriots kind of snuffed out a little bit and stuffed it for a couple of yards. Like that. Like not all of them work, but Fred's right. They get that in your head.
But even the screen pass that they had, like that same thing. Oh. Like, I mean, it's schemed up that way to get everybody following Kelsey. And, I mean, just one more point I'll make on this. Bill talking about Ernie last week, and Andrew Callahan wrote an article about the practice squad and what goes into it. And, Bill pointed out that Ernie, was responsible for what plays are we going to run. And he's like, look, they have all these like hundreds of options, but Ernie would go through and pick out which ones are most going to be beneficial to us, that if we see something similar, we'll be able to figure it out. And, not to make this about like Bill missing Ernie, but when that play comes up, I just wonder what kind of stuff were they running in practice? Were they, was that kind of stuff on the plate? And did they, have some kind of familiarity? I mean, look at the Wildcat game, like they didn't have that on the table when that game happened in 2008.
Yeah, that's another, we talked about Dante being a huge loss. Ernie might be just as big.
Yeah.
Jeff in Canada, I keep hearing media outside this show talking about what Bill will say to Robert for why he should get to stay.
Yeah.
This makes no sense to me. I've had to fire people before. This isn't a humble brag because it's not fun at all. However, I was trained to keep it short and simple and go in strong and leave no room for debate. There was no back and forth trying to convince me you can keep your job. I just hope the media don't know what they're talking about, because if there is a give and take meeting, I think Bill will stay, and I don't believe he deserves to stay. A couple of down seasons after Brady were fine, but he's actually just bottoming out now. We should have bottomed out in 2020.
Well, I disagree in the sense that I think Bill deserves a back and forth, and that's a respect kind of thing, and he deserves to state his case. And again, does he want to stay? Like, I think that's part of the question as well.
And I say this all the time: sports isn't real life.
Right.
I mean, I think he's exactly right. In the corporate world, you want to keep it short and sweet. It's not like we're thinking about moving on from you. We're moving on from you. But it is a little different in sports. It is a little different when a guy's won 6 titles.
You can't put Belichick on a PIP. It's so different.
What's a PIP? Oh,
performance improvement plan.
I was thinking of Up in the Air. Do you guys see that movie with
I was
George
thinking
Clooney?
of my college nickname.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Pip.
Called you Pip?
Philip Pip.
What's your middle name?
Not Ignatius.
Oh.
No, it was from Great Expectations.
Right.
Let's go to Kareem in Boston. What's up, Kareem?
Howdy, fellas.
Hey.
Listen here. In 2015, I was sitting around a bunch of mouth breathers in a waste of a city, Denver, when Rob Gronkowski was injured. You know what these people did?
What?
They cheered as this guy basically lost his knee on the field.
Heathens. He was okay, though.
And then played the next game.
Right. I remember that. I thought he died.
I did, too. I was in a depression.
Listen, Paul,
That was Harper's muff.
Yep.
Yes, Harper's muff. Good, Fred. What's up, Kareem? I'm sorry, I missed you there.
the point is, these mouth breathers cheered at this interview.
Yeah.
So for me this week, this is a must-win. You know,
Okay.
Jerron Daniels or Darren May, it don't matter. Let's get a win, boys. This one's for Belichick.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
All
Kareem.
right.
Listen, they had trouble winning in Denver when Brady was here.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a tough
I
place
mean,
to
obviously,
win.
the cheering when guys are hurt is
They
that's
have
that's
10 home
not good.
games a year.
I know.
You know,
It's contractually obligated.
Yeah.
Hightower went out on that game, too, and I remember they ran all over him. And even the overtime,
The
I think,
overtime
was just
game win was like a 50-yard
Yeah,
run.
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You remember that, Alex, right?
Vaguely.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you
2015,
don't. Donnie,
I
no,
was in
you
high
don't.
school.
Shut up.
She was working
High
on her.
school.
She was journaling.
I had my first job.
She was journaling.
If
Did you really?
She
What
was
your
finding
first-
tax havens.
What was your first job?
My first job that wasn't like
Finding tax
soccer
shelters.
reffing was working at Marshall's.
Oh, good job. Good
Yep.
first
so
job.
was speaking of Denver, was the safety game in Denver like the
03.
the quintessential Bill Belichick coached game?
Oh no.
I mean, I think it's just one that showed the willing to go a little bit unconventional. You know, I think, and that, I mean, it gets a lot of attention for sure. But you know, in doing the 03 thing, the way, I mean, it's not a lot of the players really like talked about.
It was a very abnormal, poor performance by the Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, it
was
was
a Danny Cannell-led Denver Broncos that didn't belong on the field with them that night.
And as great as that, wasn't the drive? I think like Brady's drive at the end was I think
Well, and
really
also you know
notable.
Denver screwed up by letting that
Right.
punt, not
Just
fielding
pounce
the
over
punt-
his head
the
and then
punt.
I don't even know what happened to you. Where are these memories coming from? That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where were you getting all? You never have all these details.
It's locked in.
All right.
Were you working on the
No.
03 documentary with Deuce?
That game I remember.
Yeah, that was a great game,
Yeah.
and that was an unbelievable throw to Givens for the for
Yeah.
the game-winning touchdown.
Yep.
That was an awesome game.
Yep.
The Lonnie Paxton game, if you will. They all have names.
Yep. I call it the safety game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else calls it the Lonnie Paxton.
No, they don't. I've never heard one person say that. Dylan's in Florida.
They're saying it.
What's up, Dylan?
Hey guys, I love the show. Quick question for you. I just want to know, it was everything you know now, going back to that 21 draft. I think Mac was picked 15th. Would you what would you do? Would you take another quarterback who got drafted behind him, or would you take another player and try and figure quarterback out someone else? But I wanted to know what you guys would do. Knowing what you know.
I mean,
now.
I gotta be honest. I would have taken Mag.
I'm going to go in full disclosure. It's not going to make me look good.
No.
I would have traded up, and I would have taken Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
you can't accuse me of being one of these guys that tells you,
yeah,
I have my eye on, I knew Brock Purdy was going to be great in the 7th round.
I just waited.
Yeah,
I just waited.
I can't be a fraud. I was happy they took Mac.
I wasn't.
I was.
Yeah.
I understood it at the time, and I mean now it's easy in
I understood it.
Yeah, it's easy in retrospect to go back and see maybe some of the red flags that you might have missed. I don't know. Do you guys still think he has a chance to play in this league, or do you think it's over? I mean, I don't know if the Patriots
to play or be good.
To play.
Yes, he has a chance to
He'll
play.
Get a chance.
Yeah.
He'll get another chance to play.
Do you think he's on the team next year?
I mean, Tommy DeVito's playing. I mean, no. I mean, just this year, there's been a bunch of guys that haven't played in a while. I know he's younger, but that came out of nowhere and had to play. And Mac will, I think, always have a job.
Yeah. The thing I kind of been thinking about, I was thinking about it today.
Thank you, guys.
I'm not sure of that.
Paul, you probably remember it was last year, and I think it was one of the ones where Mac did one of those embellished falls after being bumped out of bounds, and I had kind of a rant.
Jalen Phillips
was that?
I would have taken Jalen Phillips.
That's a good one. That was just one of those things where it was like, man, he's kind of like that. With the grabbing Brian Burns' foot, just the extra stuff. And that was when I started to sour on him a little bit. And now I just can't help but wonder, was the team kind of and I'm talking about the players, not necessarily the coaches, but were the team kind of souring on that kind of stuff from him? Because I don't know, there's just something about him. I don't know for sure if the team ever really truly got behind him.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's part of the criticism too, because a lot of that stuff was stuff that Saban talked about, the McEnroe stuff, that he was a tennis brat, and they should have known that.
Yeah.
They did know that. I'm sure they knew it.
Seeing especially defense, it was like Trent Brown and the whole defense when Malik left. It was like all their Instagram story. It was like Malik Cunningham died.
And Mac getting demoted, it's like a fart in the wind. It's gone.
Well, I think what that tells you is that there is a player culture that is different than the coaching culture.
Yeah, I'm annoyed by some of that though. Really, it was just Trent Brown that took a shot at the coaches. They all were happy for Malik Cunningham to get signed. Trent Brown took a backhanded shot at the coaching because go and let your ability shine or something. Someone that respects your ability.
Yeah. Spread your wings and be free.
And then Jalen Mills this past week with the Jack Jones thing. That's reprehensible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jack Jones failed on the field and off of it with the Patriots.
Multiple times.
They didn't know him anything. They gave him multiple chances on and off the field. The on part doesn't get talked about enough. Go back and watch the last game that he played as a Patriot, the Miami game, and tell me that he just got let go because of his off-field stuff.
No, and I mean, to continue on Jack Jones, so even Jack Jones sending the Bailey, a bunch of Bailey Zappe tweets, kind of hyping him up. It strikes me as a little strange.
See, that's part of it. It's like there's a Bailey camp.
Yeah.
That's why I think they both should be gone next year.
Yeah. Nate in Northeast Pennsylvania, I know there's been a lot of conversation about Bill's record without Brady, but I'm curious if you guys can recall what the narrative was around specifically Belichick during the 2008 team with Castle under center. Obviously, the team around Castle was built way different than today's roster, but I'm wondering if you remember how much praise Bill got back then or what people were saying.
Heaped with praise.
Yeah, but I think that's one of those context things where, first of all, I mean, and you could hear Bill say it himself in the 2009 doc that they did about him. They couldn't beat the good teams. That was it. They couldn't beat the Chargers. They couldn't beat the Steelers. They lost to, the Jets in that overtime game. I mean, and that was why they missed the playoffs.
That was the narrative.
And they played the NFC West when it was terrible. So, on paper, it was, I think, an 11-5 season, and it looks good in that regard. But I think when you drill down on the details,
they had one quality win that year, and that was the second Miami game.
That was it. Let's face it. That's kind of the team of the last few years. They can't beat the good team. I mean, it's fallen off this year, so probably not. Yeah. But the last couple of years, couldn't beat the good teams.
Yeah. Would you agree that was the narrative? They just couldn't beat the good teams because.
Yeah, but Bill, to the emailer's point, the Bill got a ton of credit
for
that.
For it for sure. They still do.
Now,
a lot of credit.
But I think that people overlook the fact that they won 5 fewer games than they won the year before. Right. That's how good that team was. They went undefeated.
Yeah.
And then
the defense was getting old too. That was kind of last hurrah for Harrison and Brewski.
But don't you think when you look at it that way, let's just say they had gone 12-4 in 2007, and then Brady tears his ACL, then if you go 11-5, that's really impressive. Mm-hmm. But if you win 5 fewer games than you did the year before, you're just like everybody else.
Well, Paul, let me ask you a question. We all know they went 18-1 the year before. right? Then Brady gets hurt in the first game against the Chiefs, and he's out. Had Brady been healthy that year, what kind of team do you think they would have been? You think they'd have been 14-2?
Yeah.
You don't think
I'm not going to tell you they're going to go undefeated again.
You don't think there'd been any hangover from losing the way they did?
Did you feel like that going into that?
I don't know. We never got a chance.
I thought that team was completely loaded.
Loaded. I just say the same
And
thing I
pissed.
said. Defense was getting old, though. They were getting old, and they had a lot of injuries that year, and I think that those were like miles building up. They lost Asante, right?
Well, but if that's the case, Paul, and I'm not saying I disagree, but if they were loaded, then Kansas City made a big mistake by taking Castle because they should have said he's not that good.
Well, they did make a big mistake.
Yeah.
But they didn't give anything up for him, so
I know.
it didn't matter.
But
now
Castle got overrated.
He went
because
to
of that
Kansas
season.
City. He went to the Pro Bowl. He took them to the playoffs. And he was fine.
He's athletic. He looks
He was
looks the
fine.
part. Yeah.
He was fine. There's plenty of guys like that right now that people are going gaga over, like Jake Browning.
Rob in San Diego via
Brock
Connecticut.
Purdy?
A few emailers have expressed
No,
how
he's
significant
excelling,
a role
Evan.
this show has with keeping them engaged. I want to echo that, but add to the accolades. You also play a role to the greater New England diaspora.
I don't know what that
Diaspora,
is. Ooh, good
D-I-A-S.
Alex?
Diaspora,
That's the only intelligent person here.
With
The root
comments,
word I'm taking out is
Yeah.
probably similar to disposition. I don't know. I'm just using context clues. I don't know.
with comments about traffic on Route 1 in Rhode Island Island beaches. Thank you for the cultural impact. Please forward to Mr. Kraft over at Patriot Place.
Okay.
People who have spread or been
Evan.
dispersed from their homeland.
Evan.
Evan has returned from practice. Evan has returned from practice. Yeah, Evan has returned from practice. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
All right.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey
Okay, Matthew.
checking in.
I love them redheads.
We got 4 players. You just took it to another place.
I was going to
No,
say.
well, I was because Connor McDermott's kind of a redhead. So was he out there at practice?
No. So 4 guys missing from practice. Deuce, I want you to put on a brave face here
Jesus,
for a
don't
second.
do it. No.
And I don't want you to
serious?
try.
Speaking of this,
Oh,
I
no.
assume you're talking Peppers.
Jabril Peppers.
Did you see the footage of him going down the stairs after the game?
No.
No.
Ooh.
Oh God, you guys.
One of the photogs caught a shot of him
limping.
He needed all kinds of help.
Yeah.
To get down the stairs. So evidently, whatever happened to him on that last play, that Edwards-Helaire run.
Yeah. Looked like he was like holding the back of his knee.
Yeah, I think that might have been significant.
Because he didn't want to talk after the game either. He was pretty pissed. So maybe it was injury.
Setback kind of thing.
Yeah. So no Jabril Peppers, Ramondre Stevenson, Connor McDermott, or Hunter Henry at Patriots practice.
Hunter.
So Hunter Henry had the knee. McDermott is in concussion protocol. I assume I said head because that's what the team says for now. Ramondre Stevenson ankle, and we do not know on Jabril Peppers. Mike, are you going to be all right?
No,
I was worried about.
I'm not
this.
watching the game.
Well, you have to.
Forget it.
Probably not going to watch it either.
And
We'll be here.
Trent Brown decided to show up today.
Yeah.
So he's
Does he
back.
participate?
It's very nice of him.
Right.
Need him.
Chilly out there today.
A little chilly. A little chilly.
Temps dropping.
Full pads?
Full pads. Full pads Wednesdays.
Okay.
We had a nice debate. That was the grousing.
Media debate?
Media debate. And we're doing top 5s at prospective positions of the Bill Belichick era.
Oh.
And there was some real heated debate about the top 5 cornerbacks of the Bill Belichick. So I'll give you my
Ty Law's a Hall of Fame.
So I'll give
Ty
you
Law's
my
one.
Mount Rushmore, and then we can work on the 5th one. Is really the one that
Okay.
So Ty Law, Stephon Gilmore, Darrell Revis.
Okay, I have a different 3, but go ahead.
And who is the 4th one now? I'm blanking.
Samuel.
No. So
there is no argument.
Some people
in my mind.
Some people miss Aqib Talib. Sorry, that was the one I was missing.
Ah.
And then the 5th one, I immediately said Asante Samuel.
And they don't like that, huh?
Some people
hold the dropped pick.
Had
that actually went off his hand, but that's okay.
Jonathan Jones.
Oh.
Some people had Malcolm Butler.
Oh.
Some people had just really those 2, I guess.
So the other 4 were locks?
To me, that's the Mount Rushmore, yes.
And there was, wow. I think I might put Jonathan Jones over Talib.
Oh, I wouldn't. But that's just me.
It's hard because Talib and Revis were such a small sample size for
Revis.
the Patriots, and it's
Revis is that's a career achievement.
Yeah,
award.
to compare what
he was fine.
and even like compared to what Asante did over, played
terrific,
a part in 04.
terrific play for several seasons.
Several seasons for the Patriots. Ty Law incomparable, and of
Gilmore.
course, Gilmore.
Law and Gilmore to me.
Yeah, like after that, it's kind of like we had some mercenaries who were good here for a year, but I don't really consider Aqib Talib on the Patriots Mount Rushmore of cornerbacks. I don't know.
Paul, is there anyone,
I like that though. I like the top 5 positions.
Is there anyone
early, work on that
early 2000s that we're forgetting about
for corners?
Poole,
Otis Smith.
Yeah, not anybody really any good.
I mean, he had some. Otis Smith had some big plays.
Yeah, that's why I brought him up.
Both teams.
I would say that I put Aqib Talib there simply because when he got here, it flipped a switch for that defense. They were a much better defense after the fact.
Yeah, they were so corner starved when he got here. Evan's right about that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that was 13, right? If my memory is
12.
12, and I actually was at the game, his first game as a Patriot, and I remember the whole car ride. I was like, they got to keep Talib. They got him, and then he had a pick six.
He had a pick six in that game.
Yeah, very first game, and then Gronk broke his forearm at the end of the game.
Does anyone remember what Bill Belichick's last public comment about Aqib Talib was?
Oh, yeah, but Wes Welker was the dirtiest play he'd ever seen.
Right.
How do you know that was the last one?
I haven't heard him say anything about Aqib Talib since
Well, apparently, according to Aqib Talib, that Bill Belichick tried to get him to come back.
Cover tight ends.
Yeah. To, go to
I remember that story.
Tight end stopper role.
I think he talked about that while he was in the booth.
Yeah.
When he was doing games for Fox.
He was funny. I always think of that moment, though, Evan, as like a kind of as a defense guy like that, where it all changed. It just felt like we've got to get a guy who can play man and man up against these really good receivers.
I think he was good. I just think that he was completely unreliable, and he didn't post a lot.
Ice up, son.
When they needed him,
yeah.
When they needed him most, he kind of wasn't there.
And then
that's 100%.
We also were doing middle linebackers, and I'm going to throw all of us
middle linebackers,
all of us under the bus.
They're not the Mike though, not the Mike.
So we had Hightower, we had Brewski, obviously, and like a bunch of terrible reporters just glossed right over Gerard Mayo and did not mention him in the top 5. So we
is Ted Johnson in here?
We were debating.
Okay, because Ted Johnson's better than those guys.
Better than who?
He was a better middle linebacker. I'm not talking about versatility, rushing the passer, or all those things. He's a better player than Mayo by a lot.
Well, you're just saying the
Ted
prototypical
Johnson?
old school middle linebacker.
Well, yeah.
But the game evolved.
But that's what they played.
Yeah.
No, but he was better at that position
pure
than
middle
Gerard
linebacker.
Mayo.
See, I think Mayo Mayo was a better overall.
Mayo was a stat compiler. He was
pile jumper. He thinks.
No, that was Brewski was the pile jumper.
I don't have a lot of love.
That I kind of
I don't have a lot of love. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
you could say it. Say it.
No, I said it.
Say it.
No, I don't think really Mayo made a lot of impact plays in his career. He was a good, smart player that was, in position and made a lot of tackles. But, when you needed an interception there in the Super Bowl, he whizzed right by his ear and, he doesn't get around for it. Like, I don't know. Well, what was his most famous play as a Patriot?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good
one. When he hit the guy in Washington, that
allowed them
to get a pick.
Yeah.
Against, I want to say
he's
Rex
still top
Grossman.
5.
I mean, I don't
He's
know.
Probably top 5.
I just was never like he's
5.
amazing. Like
no.
Like I mean,
the only amazing one in my mind is Hightower.
And like to me,
Hightower was amazing.
I feel like you got to make plays in big moments. And like you talk about Hightower, you talk about Brewski. We can probably all rattle off 5 to 10 plays that they each
that's
made.
The argument.
That you're like
Hightower wasn't there game to game. But
when
man, was he there when he had to be.
Yep. We probably don't have at least 2 Super Bowls without him.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's a great narrative.
Paul eats that.
I like it.
That one right.
Hightower butterfly.
Be right under his bonnet.
No, Hightower would be my. He would be my one.
Me too.
Because he could do it all. But I understand your point about Teddy.
Teddy Johnson was a really good inside linebacker.
He was a really good.
Yeah, but Hightower was all over though. He wasn't.
Yeah, no, I know, and that makes him a better player.
Vrabel should be in the conversation.
No,
right?
Vrabel was an outside linebacker.
Yeah, but he
played inside for half of 1 year because.
Yeah, he had to.
The GM signed Monty Beisel and Chad Brown thinking they would be okay.
We mentioned some guys. I'm a big Roman Pfeiffer fan from back in the day.
I was thinking Pfeiffer the whole time, and I wanted to see how many when we got to 5.
I think Pfeiffer's an awesome.
I know it's
player.
a big what if, but if Colvin hadn't hurt his hip, he might have been
more.
better.
What about Collins? Anybody talking Collins? Because he played inside a little bit.
A couple guys brought up Collins, and I'm not a big Collins guy.
I was thinking Todd Collins.
Not that far
I
back.
didn't even know what you were thinking about.
I'm not a big Jamie Collins guy
No.
personally.
No, I mean, he just seems like he
I like
probably
Jamie.
gets some
I
love
like
from
Jamie
the later
Collins.
people.
I know, but he's not like an all-time great Patriot. To
No,
me.
Paul put
I
it
like-
perfect, described him last show perfectly. I forget what you said exactly, but sometimes he'd make a big play and
CTE.
I forget.
Oh
what the
no,
context
Collins was ridiculously.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say-
make a splash play? and
Splash
then
play.
kinda
Is
quiet.
it athletically gil-
Is it fair to say that the Patriots during the Belichick era never
a lot
had a
of good
linebacker at any point in time who was the best player on defense on the team? Like
Willie
some
McGinnis.
teams have.
The best.
Well, it
player
depends
on
if you're not
defense.
talking about edge guys. Like I think those are two different positions.
Yeah.
Like you could make an argument for McGinnis and Vrabel.
Yeah.
Like
or
you
like
know, in
Matthew
some of their
Judon,
best teams.
obviously.
Like late '90s was McGinnis. Like I mean, he was kind of the man, wasn't he? That was really not a lot around him. I mean,
But that
Chris
was
Slade.
to your point. The strength of those defenses is like there just was no weak link.
Yeah, but like a lot of teams, like Jack Lambert. I'm talking back in the day.
Yeah.
Willie Lanier. These middle
Yeah.
linebacker guys.
Yeah.
Zach Thomas for the Miami Dolphins.
Overrated.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think back then they might have considered him their best defensive
I would
player.
love to play a game where Fred rattles off the names of random players from the past, and I have to pick whether or not Evan thought they were good or overrated. I'll bet you I could be within like 85%.
Any of the '70s Steelers.
You tell me that Zach. You talk about Brewski jumping on the pile.
Zach Thomas, I absolutely agree with
he
you.
would chase you down.
Was overrated.
Zach Thomas, 8 yards down the field, made a tackle. Whoa!
London Fletcher.
Well, no one else could make
tackling machine.
Yeah.
Quote.
That's
like
doesn't mean what you think it means.
Zach
doesn't mean what you think it does.
Zach
Something to
Thomas.
be said about pursuit.
Ray Lewis is an all-time
Ray
great.
Lewis, different.
Different animal.
Whoa,
Zach
whoa,
Thomas is good for you that you got the gold jacket, Zach Thomas. Please.
All right. Well, listen, that's going to be it for this edition.
You're overrated in the Hall of Fame.
Patriots Unfiltered. John Rook and the Playbook is standing by. We'll be back tomorrow with picks.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the picks, Fred. Just letting you know.
I don't want to tell people that.
I
'cause they
want
won't
everybody
tune
to
in.
know right here that I already made my picks.
All right.
I don't want to be accused of cheating.
Okay. All right. John Rook's next. We'll see you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.